Yo, so this wild saga kicks off in this crazy blizzard like legit freezing cold, and there's this massive crew chilling at this spot called the Place of Extinction, which turns out to be the 8th floor of some epic tower. All the soldiers were rolling tight, moving as one, probably planning to take down this 8th floor. Right in the mix was this dude rocking a brown furry long coat and serious muscles. He hit the brakes on the squad before they barged in. He laid down the law, telling everyone that since they'd gathered to bust the 8th floor guardian, they had to watch their backs. We get the deets that this boss guy is Kazuki Kyojo, a level 6 Blue Zone guild master. Kazuki kept it real, saying that just because it's a team-up raid doesn't mean folks can slack. If they don't crush this floor, hitting the 9th floor is going to stay a pipe dream, no cap. The troops stayed chill, keeping formation tight. But out of nowhere, they stepped aside for someone, and Kazuki's jaw legit dropped seeing who just rolled up. Turns out, a squad of adventurers calling themselves Blue Eyes showed up, full of mysterious peeps. Leading the pack was this guy, his whole face hidden behind a tight mask. We find out the masked mystery man is Subaru Narukami, the guild master of Blue Eyes. Kazuki's hyped to see him, and Subaru throws out a sorry, I'm late vibe. But Kazuki's like, nah man, you were actually first, this is your crew showing up today. He says Subaru's frontlining the assault, while the rest of the Murray Alliance is low-key hoping for leftovers. When Kazuki mentioned leftovers, Subaru pulled this glowing red pendant from his cloak and popped it in Kazuki's hand. Kazuki peeped the stats. This legendary gem's called Archangel's Blessing. The system hit him with the specs. It needs level 50, plus, instantly cures 50% of fatigue when you're maxed out, but it's a one-time deal. Kazuki was shook getting such a rare item, but Subaru said, look, I want this raid to succeed, no questions. And just in case things go sideways, Subaru said Kazuki should have a backup on deck. Kazuki told him he needed too, but Subaru switched gears, asking if he wanted to bounce back to Earth after the fight and could return the pendant then. Kazuki nearly got all teary-eyed, and Subaru teased him, saying, you don't want to come back? Keep it, bro. Suddenly, some huge freak started making noise, and both buddies turned, wide-eyed at the ruckus. Boom. The 8th floor guardian showed up. Kazuki called everyone to lock in for battle, and it turned out the guardians called the Sealed Dragon Hydra, like a multi-headed beast that could tear humans apart like paper. Subaru called the monstrosity an ugly bastard and just went full throttle, unleashing his powers, charging right at the beast. The system pumped up his energy, letting us know Subaru's a lightning-type dude, glowing with electricity, mad as hell and ready to claim the Hydra's last day on Earth. The Hydra caught wind of the incoming attack, got pissed, and formed this massive water energy ball. Kazuki shouted for everyone to duck, but Subaru was like, nah, fam, we good. He rolled up with his lightning sword to face off with the multi-headed terror. The attack was straight fire. He sliced the water being clean in half, even caught the giant Hydra off guard, which was way bigger than the tiny humans. Kazuki was shook, noting Subaru always goes beast mode. The whole crew was hyped, feeling like all that grind Subaru put in was finally paying off. One adventurer tried to snag the first hit flex but missed the boat. A girl asked about the pendant Subaru gave Kazuki earlier, and Subaru just said, you'll find out later. Then he fired up the crew, asking if they were ready to wreck that damn sea beast. Powers surged as everyone geared up, hyped to smash through this crazy 8th floor hellscape. Kazuki was watching quietly from behind, then cracked this sly grin muttering about their bestie act, classic. Meanwhile, the soldier captain checked in with Kazuki, confirming the troops were locked and loaded as planned. Kazuki gave props and said it's time to move out. His masked sidekick shot back quick with a good luck, kill it out there. The squad rolled out fast, while the healer frontlined with a staff ready to drop those clutch heals. Total chaos broke loose as everyone swung for the dragon, filling the arena with deafening roars and wild attacks. This swift girl fighter rushed in, yelling at the squad to leave no energy in the tank, go all out. She sliced the beast lightly, calling it a casual stroll, while the ice mage grumbled about the insane pressure and tension swirling around them all. In the thick of the fight, a warrior glowing red charged forward, betting his pals on who'd deal the most damage, then hit the beast with a hard, clean strike. Tashia jumped on the bet quick, saying the loser owes dinner, and swung his sword with insane speed, slashing the dragon's skin like a boss. Boom. He chopped off one of the dragon's heads and shouted to Shino, watch out, the head's coming right at you. Shino stayed chill, readying her spell. She told him, don't sweat it, keep hitting. And with that, she conjured this huge pink magic shield, flexing like, defense, that's my jam. Just then, Kazuki pops up behind Shino, all creepy whisper vibes, calling her name like a ghost and coldly drops, think you can block this too? And girl was shook. Without missing a beat, Kazuki shoved his sword right through her back, piercing her chest. eye-rolling at their dumb overconfidence like it was their biggest screw-up. Subaru spun around, voice trembling, screaming her name. Shino crumpled, dead as a doornail, soaked in her own blood, right at Kazuki's feet, who stood there grinning like he just won a twisted game. Blood-splattered Kazuki looked over at Subaru, crazy grin on, literally telling him, "Now's not the time to look away, bro." Subaru stood frozen, trying to wrap his head around why Kazuki would stab him in the back while a freaking dragon was wrecking the place, and everything ended with this gut-wrenching scream. He flashed back to when some weird system messages popped up out of nowhere. They said the tower picked them, ordered everyone to climb and get ready for a whole new beginning. That was the first official buzz from the tower, a massive beast of a structure floating in space. Nobody knew if it meant doom or some secret jackpot. Even now, people can't fully crack what it really meant. But the tower's orders, no backing out. So everyone hustled up, aiming for the summit, a place nobody's ever laid eyes on. Folks from all over, like Earth and Murim, entered the tower with their own dreams and heavy bags of baggage. Yeah, no. Day by day, they pushed on, just hoping to make it through and nail their missions. But the whole scene was brutal. Subaru stood there, solo in this bloody mess, surrounded by his fallen buddies. It was straight-up nightmare fuel. Panting hard, Subaru stared at the wreckage left behind from the fight. They'd just taken down Hydra, the red dragon everyone thought was unkillable. Inside, he scolded his squad, mad and broken, because they blew off his order to bounce. If only they'd listened, maybe they'd still be breathing right now. Beat down and wiped, he dropped to the dirt in front of the dragon's corpse. The wind felt so empty. Whispering to the dead, he called them fools for dying without his okay. Suddenly, system alerts popped up right on his screen. He'd been poisoned and wasn't healing naturally no more. Plus, his fatigue was dangerously close to max. Subaru wondered what would go down if he pulled it off and made it back, especially since the system straight up said hitting 100% fatigue meant game over for real. Anger and fire blazed in his eyes. Right then, Kazuki walked up, icy look, calling Subaru the Lightning Lord, all sarcastic-like. Subaru stared, shocked, demanding why Kazuki flipped and betrayed him. He yelled, needing the truth. Kazuki stepped in, saying he'd been waiting a whole 10 years for this moment. He told Subaru, of all people, he should get it. With a sick grin, Kazuki admitted he'd played him, using those Blue Eyes Guild homies as distractions so they wouldn't get in the way. He blasted that everything Subaru did for him just turned into emotional wounds, and now he picked the world over their friendship. Then Kazuki backed off, faking some regret, telling him this was the end of the line. He pulled out the Archangel's pool, mocking Subaru that he didn't need to give it back like they said he would. He confirmed with Shad and Freuda that once Subaru was gone, the Blue Eyes Guild would vanish for good. Before dipping, Kazuki coldly told Subaru not to cry over it, cause history would still remember him as a hero even if he ain't around to see it. Subaru gave this bloody, sarcastic grin and told Kazuki, "Man, you only hear what you want to hear." He knew making it out alive was a long shot now, but no way he'd die kneeling. Summoning the last of his energy, Subaru stood back up, holding the legendary Alice fan, yeah, the one that whips up insane storms. Kazuki's jaw dropped, totally stunned and scared. Subaru swung that fan like no explanation needed. Eyes shining with fire, he was ready to burn through the fan's last 4 charges and flip the script. He thought about his 4 surviving guildmates chilling behind him. With one mega fan blast, he whipped up a huge windstorm and blasted them far off the battlefield. Yelling at them to run and survive, Subaru wasn't playing. Kazuki finally caught on to the plan and screamed for his troops to chase those survivors down as soon as possible. The Murim fighters charged forward, but Subaru put himself between them like a rock. He charged up this crackling ball of lightning in his hand, making the soldiers hit the brakes and face him. His fatigue was already at 95%. Thunder roared in the sky, his lightning skill was ticking down fast. Then, a massive golden lightning bolt slammed the ground, turning the whole battlefield into a wild, electrified storm. Kazuki watched nervously, calling Subaru stubborn for refusing to quit. With fatigue hitting 96%, Subaru charged forward, glowing with this deadly vibe. Yo! He was straight up curious what kind of juicy payout Kazuki promised these soldiers to make him throw down against someone as deadly as him. Standing there, facing the whole swarm of haters, Subaru threw down a serious warning, mess with him, and it's gonna cost you your life. His eyes lit up like a freaking neon sign, and even though he was beat up bad, he declared, "No one walks out of here unless I say so." The soldiers knew they were trapped. Screaming like maniacs, they charged with everything they had. Subaru blocked and threw back their strikes like a total boss, even though he knew these dudes were no joke. What freaked him out the most? Kazuki crashing the party and ending this fight quick. Still, he kinda chilled, knowing his crew had backed off enough for now. But yo, his stamina was almost maxed out. It was sitting at like 97%. There was no way he could drag this fight on much longer. Another block, gritting his teeth through the agony, he kept pushing. 98% fatigue hit hard. Then bam! A brutal hit threw him off his game. The soldiers saw their opening, swarming him like vultures, swords swinging from every direction. Blood was flying, screams everywhere. They started popping bottles in their heads, thinking they just off Subaru Narukami for good. But then, out of the chaos came a voice. Subaru's voice calm as ice asking, "Yo, who you think you just killed?" His eyes shot back, glowing gold like a boss, and then his body exploded with lightning energy, zapping every soldier nearby and flinging him through the air like ragdolls. The bad guys collapsed all around him, and Subaru finally dropped to his knees, totally wiped out. The rest of the soldiers backed off, whispering like, "Dude's a freaking monster, keeps falling but never stays down." Watching from way back, Kazuki smirked cold, throwing shade like, "Nah, Subaru's story ain't ending this easy." Meanwhile, Subaru's fatigue hit 99% with a big red warning flashing, saying that once he hits 100, it's game over. Summoning the last bit of juice in his tank, Subaru locked eyes with Kazuki and reminded him, "Bro, if anyone gets the real deal, it's gotta be you." Then, shouting, "Subaru always wins," he launched his final spear wrapped in furious lightning faster than your eyes could even blink. Kazuki was clutching some Archangel Blessing artifact like it was his lifeline, even trying to throw fake sympathy Subaru's way. But man, his words died on the spot when that spear smashed right through the jewel, breaking it and wrecking his one and only defense. Subaru's vision faded, but honestly, he felt fine. He didn't even need to see Kazuki bite the dust. He just knew he landed the hit. As darkness swallowed him, Subaru wondered, "Okay, what now? Am I stuck in this empty void forever, or what?" Suddenly, this nasty smell smashed through the silence, all weird noises following. Subaru forced his eyes open and oh my god, he's crammed inside a metal trash bin in some dirty alley in, like, New York City or something. He straight up wondered if this gross dump was supposed to be some kind of hell. Right in front of him, a blue status screen popped up showing a name he didn't know. Subaru Hasu, level 1. Dude stared, totally shocked. Then memories started flooding back, some teens mocking him for being just a regular earthling with weak stats, laughing at him, telling him to try to even come close to the legendary Subaru Narukami from like 20 years ago. Subaru just froze. Then a voice in his mind told him he'd actually died 2 decades earlier. Checking a broken mirror nearby, he realized the face staring back wasn't his own. Confused out of his mind, Subaru wondered if this was all just a nightmare. He scrambled out of the trash bin, panicked and breathing heavy, and spotted a tablet lying near him. It was a player kit. Hoping it might spill some tea on what had just gone down, he searched up info on the Blue Eyes Guild. The screen said some group called Blue Zone had now taken over as the successor, but folks were wondering why it was so weak, even though it claimed to roll with Subaru Narukami's legacy. While scrolling through the news, Subaru suddenly froze. There was a statement from Guildmaster Kazuki, getting ready for the next big tournament. He muttered in disbelief and then saw the pic attached. It showed Kazuki with an older face and some gnarly eye patch. The traitor had survived their final showdown. Memories slapped Subaru hard a night long ago, when him and Kazuki chilled on a rooftop. Kazuki had dropped the bomb that he wanted out of the Blue Eyes Guild, saying they weren't even real enemies. Subaru was shook by the sudden dump, especially when Kazuki asked him to tell the others. Even though Subaru had thought of him as a ride or die, Kazuki just said Subaru would get the reason someday. He even promised to always stay in Subaru's shadow, no matter what. But oh, the bitter irony. Years later, Kazuki went ahead and made his own guild, named after a joke they'd tossed around. Back to now, Subaru scoffed bitterly because this supposed shadow had named his crew Blue Zone. Yet, after 20 freaking years, Kazuki was still stuck on the 9th floor. Translation, dude hadn't done jack all. As Subaru walked down a street in Minneapolis, still scrolling the news, he suddenly hit pause. Yo, check this out, a massive shot pops up of this crazy huge place called the Subaru Narukami Memorial Hall. Dude is shook, he dashes right over. Gotta see this with his own eyes. This joint, way fancier and bigger than anything he dreamed up. This place was straight up lavish, like built to flex hardcore. Inside, bam. Huge portrait of himself right smack in the middle. He's staring at it, heart full of, wait, what? And some serious bitterness. Statues and pics of him all around, and the walls are dripping with flowery shoutouts, calling him a hero. The top dog of the Blue Eyes Guild, the dude who nearly conquered the tower, a legit legend for the next-gen squad. The hall's all about locking down his and his crew's legacy forever. You feel me? Man's blood boiling as he peeps Kazuki on the screen at the grand opening. Rocking a fancy suit and a phony smile, Kazuki's declaring Subaru and the Blue Eyes Guild are history, and only Blue Zone's keeping their vibe alive. Subaru's shaking mad, wanting to scream, stop lying. His hate meter's maxed out, Kazuki's got him burning up inside. And yo, Kazuki ain't just killing him once, nah, he twisted the whole story, stealing Subaru's name to crown himself the heir. Subaru's whispering low-key, "I'ma be the nightmare." Kazuki's been dreading. The vid keeps rolling. Kazuki swears Subaru's never coming back but will live forever in memories. Subaru steps in close, eyes locked on Kazuki's face on the screen, and lays down a cold promise. He's gonna flip this fake history on its head. Eyes sharp like a hawk, Subaru's swearing off ever letting Kazuki fool him or flip the truth again. Ready to bounce out, but boom. Out of nowhere, this little kid bumps him from behind and hits the ground. Subaru swoops in, checking, "Yo, you good, kid?" Then, freeze frame the boys rocking Subaru's old game mask. Before Subaru can spit a word, the kid's folks come sprinting up, yelling, "Minato," and going all mushy. Subaru chills them down, says, "Kid, just got a little bump." But what really makes him dub? Not just Minato's fam, but the whole surrounding crew's rocking the same mask, his signature mask. Some clutch it like treasure, others wear it like a badge, all acting like it's some sacred ritual or something. Subaru's wiping sweat from his face, no joke. This mask is everywhere like a legend tattooed on the crowd. Flashback to Kazuki's mocking line hitting him again. Subaru's gonna be an immortal hero even after pushing up daisies. But now, Subaru's got the harsh truth. Kazuki flipped the script. He turned Subaru's story into a twisted fairy tale while hiding the dirty facts of the betrayal. Eyes lock on this massive shrine-style portrait of Subaru in the mask, surrounded by candles and flowers like a saint's funeral setup. Teeth clenched tight, Subaru realizes this whole shebang is Kazuki's smokescreen to snatch the Blue Eyes Guild's glory for himself. Then, wait, what's that flicker? A soft blue glow peeping from the flowers. Subaru pushes through the crowd, ignoring the "hey, watch it," and gasps, bulldozing till he hits the altar. Down on one knee, he grabs this bright blue flower pulsing with weak vibes. Bam. He knows it. Sugar Asagiri's flower, no doubt. Meanwhile, up on a rooftop in some nearby block, two peeps scope the scene below. Sugar lets out a sigh, relieved another year went down without a hitch. His buddy rolls her eyes, throwing shade about their crazy timing. If they were even a tad late, Blue Zone would have swooped on them. She's all like, why risk it every year just to drop some flowers? Sugar's stubborn, gotta do it, just in case. Looking down, hopes Subaru peeps those flowers someday. His pal gets serious and asks if he really thinks Subaru's still kicking. Sugar's like, no way I buy, he's dead, never saw a body. She fires back, if he was alive, Kazuki would have caught them ages ago. Plus, dude would never ghost for 20 years with zero contact. Back on the ground, Subaru bolts out of the memorial, clutching the glowing flower tight. Heart pounding fast now, he's sure Sugar's alive out there somewhere. Scene flips to Subaru's tiny, dim room. Dude sitting on his bed, scrolling his tablet, muttering about how broke the original body owner was. Search comes up empty on Blue Eyes Guild, but that glowing flower? Way more proof than any dusty archive. Sugar survived, been laying low for 20 years. Subaru's brain's firing. Kazuki probably shoved them all underground, hiding the truth. Knowing Kazuki's dark side, no way he'd let anyone in the know roam free. Subaru flashes back to the explosion from their last fight, wondering if Sugar alone made it or if those wild winds saved all 4 survivors. But hitting them up now? Straight suicide since Kazuki's got everything in his grip. He stares out the window, admitting to himself he's way too weak right now. Can't go toe-to-toe with Kazuki. Can't keep anyone safe. Can't even show his face. First, he's gotta level up, get his power back. Oh, and yo, don't forget to smash that like button, share this drama, and drop your wildest theories in the comments below. Can Subaru bounce back? Stay tuned. Yo, this was the only road Subaru hose could roll down. 2 days straight, memories in tow, prepping like a beast. Then boom, training for the newbies kicked off. There he stood, sword gripped tight, eyes locked on the blade like, I gotta survive, no matter what. 'Cause survival means he'd reunite with his crew. Scene flips to the test arena, straight up Roman Coliseum vibes. Supervisor Hyuga was chilling up high, bored and mad annoyed. One trainee just barely beat a monster, wheezing hard. Hyuga threw shade, saying dude barely scraped by, then asked if he wanted to step up to the next level. System popped up, saying every new stage adds 1 more goblin but boosts the rewards too. Everyone was straight up screaming, no way, 3 goblins. Hyuga waved him off, clearly annoyed. Watching the squad flop made him mad, salty. Hyuga's mind drifted to Isaac von Reinhardt, the lone wolf who'd hit stage 20. At least that dude had skills. The rest, total letdowns. He low-key grumbled, trainees have never sucked this much. Then, bam. Steady footsteps roll and Subaru steps up. Hyuga glances, mutters how heavy the name Subaru Huss carries, but dude looks kinda meh. He doubts Subaru's chances, but Subaru just gives a calm nod. System drops 2 goblins. Hyuga starts announcing the test launch. Hold up. A wild gust blows past Hyuga before he can finish. He jets his head to the side, totally caught off guard. Something moved faster than his eyes could track. Right in the arena's center, Subaru's chillin', rocking a confident smile with blood splattered around. 2 days of testing this body, totally worth it. Hidden insane powers straight up. When the system asked if he's down to keep going, Subaru's like, heck yeah. Dudes want to wrap this up quick. Hyuga's jaw hits the floor watching goblins drop like flies. Headless goblins flying everywhere, the arena filling up with monster corpses real quick. Hyuga's eyeballs locked on Subaru's moves and realizes this ain't random swinging. Nah, Subaru's reading goblin moves like a chess master, always 3 steps ahead. This ain't just swordplay, it's next-level sorcery. Even Hyuga can't pull moves this slick. Eyeing Subaru's cocky grin, Hyuga whispers, no way this kid's not the reincarnation of Subaru Narukami. Subaru's slicing through goblins like a bloody tornado. Then Boom System pings that he crushed stage 49 and asks if he wants the final boss face-off. Wiping sweat, eyes lit with hype, Subaru's all in. Earth shakes. A giant hand smashes up from the floor, arena's flying debris everywhere as the colossal boss rolls in. Hyuga's freaking out, sprinting towards Subaru, calling him straight up crazy. Yo, you ain't the real Subaru Narukami. Keep going and you're dead meat. Subaru's standing firm in the arena center, goblins down like deadbeat backup dancers. The monstrous Goblin King towers over him, radiating pure fury like it feels every single sacrifice from before. From the sidelines, Hyuga's yelling his lungs out, begging Subaru to throw in the towel before it's game over. He's screaming how stepping up to the Goblin King this early is basically a one-way ticket to Disaster City. He's repeating to himself that raw talent can't cover the massive gap between a rookie and a beast that size. Subaru's no dummy, he knows his stats right now ain't enough to stab through the thick, hardened skin of this monster. But guess what? Dude refuses to back down a single inch, drops his sword and lets it clatter to the ground. Hyuga nearly loses his marbles, thinking Subaru's officially lost it, tossing his only weapon like that. Goblin King lunges with a brutal smash meant to pancake him, but then, boom, suddenly freezes up, feeling a tiny needle jab deep into its leg. Subaru kneels nearby, cool as ice, fingers holding multiple sharp needles. He smirks, surprised, big guy. Throws down a low-key trash talk about who's gonna drop first, warning the Goblin King he's about to fill that huge body of yours with needles before it even touches him. With eyes glowing at icy blue, he preps to unleash the secret move he planned before stepping foot in the arena. Needles fly out of his hand like lightning bolts, pinging the monster's eyeballs and face with deadly precision, forcing the Goblin King's scream to rip through the air. Blinded and raging, the beast swings its massive axe like a maniac, smashing the ground around. Subaru's moving like he's dancing on air, dodging every wild swing. When he finally lands, he takes a sec to eye the boss and thinks back to lessons about rotational force and the power behind throwing. Memories of Miss Rhea scolding him for trash form but schooling him how even a simple pen, thrown right, can be a deadly weapon. US peeps in New York, hit that like button for those slick sword moves. Don't forget to share and drop your wildest guesses below who's got Subaru's back. Yo, Subaru nailed those lessons like a boss, hitting the Goblin King's weak spots dead on every single time, each needle sticking right where it counted. The Goblin King was staggering hard, dripping blood all over the place from its neck and body, looking like a busted statue full of needle holes. Subaru stood there cool as ice, telling himself strength was all about that spin power, and being sharp meant no second guessing. He low-key admitted that these mad skills were what Rhea schooled him on back in the day, and there was no way he could have leveled up this much without her showing him the ropes. Meanwhile, Hyuga, who'd been watching the whole scene, felt his entire vibe about the exam get wrecked. It hit him like a truck that all the dead goblins and tossed weapons sticking around was cause the stage wasn't officially done, something he always assumed was a given. But Subaru, he caught that from Jump Street and used the poison needles from earlier fights as secret ammo. Sweat literally pouring down Hyuga's face as he realized Subaru wasn't just out here fencing like a rookie, nah, he was mixing prediction, mad skills, and straight-up clever moves like nothing Hyuga had ever seen. He muttered under his breath that calling Subaru a genius was a joke. What he was seeing was on a whole other level. Finally, as the Goblin King let out its last breath, it crashed to the floor with a massive thud that screamed, battle over. Subaru walked up chill as ever, grabbed his sword, and stood over the monster's dead carcass, telling it he held no grudges before putting it down for good. Then, boom, system messages popped off one after another, announcing the boss was beat and Subaru just cleared the 50th stage of the tutorial, first time ever in history. Subaru wiped the sweat from his brow, muttering about how messed up it was to throw a monster this tough into a beginner tutorial. More notifications rolled in, showing his level going up, credits stacking up, and a crazy amount of achievement points being added. Then he saw the message he was hyped for. The tutorial shop was officially open. When he checked his points and saw the 2,425 total, he legit froze. This was way more than anything he'd ever scored in his previous life. Scrolling through the shop, he noticed most standard gear was hanging around 5 to 200 points, so dude had way more than enough to pick and choose. His eyes locked onto this rare demon sword priced at 1,000 points. A weapon cooked up by a lame magic blacksmith, boosting cutting power but at the expense of the user's health and soul. Tempting, but Subaru reminded himself that his lightning skill already burned through his life force, so hooking up both would be straight up dangerous. Next, he checked out the Holy Sword Miranda costing 1,400 points designed to fight fatigue and keep a player going longer. He thought it sounded safer but still wasn't perfect. Torn like crazy between the Demon Sword's destructive power and the Holy Sword's solid reliability. Keeping the scroll going, he found something totally unexpected down the list, an F-rank skill called Wedge of Greed, priced the same as the Holy Sword at 1,400 points, that could suppress any nasty side effects from tools or skills. Subaru's forehead started to sweat, never seen a skill like this before. The potential was insane. This bad boy could kill the Demon Sword's curse and maybe ease up his own lightning toll. Recognizing the gold mine, he made his move quick, copped both the Wedge of Greed and that unknown Demon Sword. Burning most of his points, he teleported the Demon Sword into his hands and tested it out, and boom, the synergy with the new skill was exactly what he dreamed of. Dude was all about that flexible tag team move instead of leaning on just one skill. Huger barged in, mixing admiration with confusion, saying Subaru had unreal item compatibility, but he couldn't wrap his head around why Subaru would snag such a weird, useless-looking skill. Subaru just sighed, bored AF, and asked if Huger seriously wanted him to spell out every last detail. Riled up, Huger scolded him until Subaru quickly played the "sorry, can't do formal" card, pretending to shiver apologetically. Huger had to chill for a sec, thinking the kid was just tired. Subaru shot a glance at the old supervisor and suddenly remembered back in the day the sniffly little fan who begged him for an autograph had morphed into this no-nonsense exam boss. Once upon a time, young Huger had hounded Subaru with all his might for an autograph, and Subaru signed without a clue that one day, this kid would start preaching about manners and griping about how today's kids have zero discipline. Subaru just shrugged it off like, times change, just like how much hair Huger's got left. The more Huger yammered, the more Subaru tuned him out. When Huger asked again why he picked that skill, Subaru dodged hard, claiming exam secrecy was why he couldn't spill. Huger shouted after him, all fired up, threatening to personally school him on manners. Trying to cool down, Huger switched gears and tried to recruit Subaru into the Chivalry Guild, but Subaru shut that down quick, no hesitation, leaving Huger stumped. Just then, system prompt hit Subaru's screen. Yo, Subaru totally dodged that question like a pro, claiming some exam secrecy rule tied his hands. Huger wasn't having it though, yelling after him with fire, promising to personally school him on respect, trying to keep his cool. Huger then flipped the script, trying to recruit Subaru into the Chivalry Guild. But boom, Subaru shut it down instantly with zero hesitation. Then, out of nowhere, a system prompt popped up right in front of him. So, Huger's yelling after him, like, yo, you want to hit the second floor? But Subaru just bounces without a care, ignoring the dude and straight up vanishes the second he said yes. Left standing solo, Huger's mumbling some salty comments about Subaru's lame exit. Meanwhile, Subaru shows up on the second floor, finally stepping back into the city of beginnings feels like home, ya know. The place is buzzing. Vendors yelling out about all kinds of wild stuff. We're talking deep-sea rags from Runeterra, dried meats, and fancy merm's silk robes all over the spot. As Subaru strolls through the chaos, he's feeling this crazy vibe like, yeah, he's back for real. This ain't no ordinary comeback, it's a legit second shot nobody usually gets. Thinking back to his old crew chilling by the campfire, Subaru silently vows to get revenge for them and the nightmare they all went through together. This is personal now. He heads over to the training building, ready to try out his new gear. Hitting up the front desk, he asks the old dude there for a private room. The clerk just looks half asleep like, which floor you from, kid? Subaru's just like, I just climbed up, making the guy think he's another newbie, checking out the place for the first time. Classic rookie vibes. The clerk points down the hall and suggests room number 1, saying it's perfect for beginners because it only has a straw dummy. But Subaru's like, nah, I want room 5. And the dude legit stares like Subaru's speaking alien. Dude straight up warns Subaru that picking such a hardcore room would be a waste of his cash and pushes him to chill with the first room instead. Like, don't get in over your head, bro. Subaru thanks him for the heads up but stands firm, paying 50 credits and booking room 5 for 30 minutes. As he walks off, the clerk mutters under his breath, calling him a wannabe hero and warns he won't get a refund if he bails. The rooms level up in difficulty as the number goes up. First is basic dummies, second, tougher stuff, third, heavy rocks. Subaru's heading deep into the warrior zone. Sure enough, other visitors side-eye Subaru hard as he strolls to the higher-level rooms. He shuts the iron door behind him and stands in the dim light, pumped to get this show started. He pulls out the demon's sword, glowing faint red, the second the system locks onto him. Then boom, crimson energy blasts out everywhere, like some crazy epic power surge. The sword's totally vamping off his health and mana, fired up to boost his strength like a beast. The Wedge of Greed skill kicks in fast, trying to fight back and patch up some of that damage. But it's only level 1, so it kind of fails to block the sword's recoil fully, and Subaru's feeling pretty wiped out. He's quick to realize this skill's just not strong enough yet to handle the sword's insane hunger. The sword keeps sucking the life right out of him, but with every bit of health stolen, his power doubles. Subaru's clenching his jaw, knowing he's hit his max endurance for now. Still, since this matches what he expected, he doesn't hesitate to drop 10,000 credits on upgrading the Wedge of Greed. Gotta power up, no cap. Level 2 now, but the next upgrade's gonna cost 20,000 credits. Even so, the boost is noticeable, the skill fights the sword's backlash better, though it still sucks up his health. Power's flowing through him like wildfire, and Subaru's pumped, leaping into the air, sword glowing like a boss, ready to wreck some stuff for real. Meanwhile, back at the quiet office, the old clerk's fighting to stay awake when suddenly the door to room 5 bursts open. Subaru steps out, and the clerk jumps like he saw a ghost. Checking the clock, he shook the kid's been in there barely 10 minutes. Rushing over, he calls out, gently opens the door, and freezes. The room's a disaster zone, cracked walls, floor torn up, even the training rock is sliced clean in half. He just stands there, trembling, totally baffled about what the heck went down. Meanwhile, Subaru's waking up in his hotel room, all stretched out and wondering how long he was knocked out cause he's kinda sore. Later, sipping coffee in the hotel lobby, Subaru's thinking back on his cursed sword experiment like a boss move. He figures if that sword wasn't magical, the damage would have been way worse, but luckily, the Wedge of Greed helped lighten the load enough to keep him standing. Checking his stats, he sees he's only level 10 with low physical stats and admits he wouldn't even be able to lift that sword normally. But the training? Oh yeah, the sword and the skill click perfectly. Subaru's already dreaming about mixing some lightning magic into that combo to make it next level, but then his vibe drops when he peeps his wallet, barely 50 credits left, not even close to the 20,000 he needs for the next upgrade. He sighs, feeling like this body's been broke forever, seriously wondering what's up with that financial struggle. Suddenly, a loud, "What's up, fam?" blasts through the lobby. Subaru turns and spots this hype dude rocking cat ears, live streaming his epic second-floor adventures like he's the real deal. Then, out of nowhere, a 1,000 credit donation pops up on the stream, and the guy goes full-on dramatic celebration mode. Man, those bucks don't lie. Yo, this dude got all hyped and straight up spilled his hot coffee on himself, but played it cool like he meant to do it, total try-hard move to flex for his viewers. Subaru just stared, shook his head, like, are these folks for real? Curious AF. He dove into some research on the live streaming wave and found out like 1 in every 3 gamers was out here hustling for points by streaming. Real talk, it was basically begging with a show attached, and Subaru was low-key wondering if that's just the survival game now. Before he could go deeper, someone called his name like it was a reunion at a Harlem block party. Subaru whipped around to see this slickly dressed young dude sliding up all casual, like, hey, you climbing up too? Freaky coincidence, and then hit him with, so, where you crashing at? Subaru got this weird vibe, not mad, but something off, like the OG owner of this bod had some heavy history with this guy. The dude spoke ice cold and bossy, telling Subaru not to ghost him like he was invisible. Subaru sized him up and felt that weird gut prick wasn't just irritation, nah, it was way deeper. Then the dude dropped his name Isaac and Subaru snapped back stiffly like, yeah, just got up here. Isaac laughed all bitter, trash-talking like never expected this weakling to make it past the first noob goblin. Subaru's brain was hit with flashbacks of the old Subaru hosts. He saw the scene clear as day, the scared little Subaru shaking in front of Isaac, who was straight up grilling him, why you actin' all scared, shouting and calling him out for trying to fake calm with a blank stare. That memory ran on with Isaac dissing him hardcore, saying even his name was annoying, dragging him for flunking the easiest stuff and playing the poor orphan card for pity points. Subaru saw himself bawling, trying to plead that the credit he got was never enough, but Isaac straight up shut him down, no sympathy at all. Then bam, Isaac smacked him hard, knocking him down and ordering him to zip it, calling him trash, and mocking that Subaru's little box was his new home sweet home. Isaac threw in some dark threats if Subaru dared step out of that box. Now Subaru got why the dude before him had been hiding out in a dumpster like it was his fortress. Back in the here and now, Isaac was all braggy, flexing about clearing 20 stages, smashing his dad's record, even got a B-rank skill in the tutorial, and was straight up demanding a drink like a spoiled brat. Subaru brushed him off cold, saying he was bouncing, ignoring Isaac's show-off vibes. Isaac stopped him with a power move, ordering him on his way back to grab some cheap-ass coffee. Subaru sighed so hard it could fuel a car, catching Isaac's attention quick. Isaac peeped the vibe shift and snapped, asking what the heck was up, wondering if Subaru's soul got swapped for real. Subaru gave him the cold shoulder and told him straight up no credit for coffee, telling Isaac to handle his own caffeine fix. As he turned to dip, Isaac growled low, telling him to sit his ass down. Subaru said no thanks, thinking, ain't got time for your old body drama, but warned Isaac not to block his path. Isaac grabbed his arm tight, dropping dark threats about what happens to runaway trash. Subaru shot him a sharp look, warning him it'd be better to let go for his own good. He knew fighting here in the middle of the crowd would just mess him up, so he played it cool. Then Isaac busted out this ridiculous laugh, saying he was just messing, trying to scare him like old times, and let go with a jab, calling him a scared little punk who never changes. Isaac kept roasting him, guessing Subaru barely scraped through the tutorial. Subaru just sat there silent, knowing these reactions were more animal instinct than real feels. Isaac stepped up, all sneer and disdain, asking if Subaru really wanted to throw down, reminding him his daddy's power was no joke and he could make him vanish without a trace. Then he bounced with a smug laugh, calling him friend like it was a joke or poison. Subaru stayed frozen, boiling inside, repeating friend with mad sarcasm under his breath. Suddenly, the scene switched to explaining how the tower's growth system worked, showing two main lanes. First, the tower trials in virtual space, where players could level up and snag rewards safe AF, losing only progress and credits with no life risk. The second way was hardcore, real-world hunting, taking down monsters outside the safe zones or inside physical dungeons. This route leveled you up faster but came with the ultimate danger. Real death, no respawns, just monsters straight feasting on you. That's why most peeps dodge the real deal, no matter the epic benefits. In the dark pit entrance of the orc nest, the walls seemed alive, groaning with the sounds of monsters lurking beyond sight. Subaru crashed on the ground next to a massive beast he just put down, tired but smirking, admitting survival, slow and safe, danger fast and deadly. He pulled out his tablet, ready to catch some news, and bam, found a live stream of some joker pretending to be him, rocking a mask exactly like Subaru's old one and hyping up a crowd over 5,000 strong. Yo, smash that like button if you think this imposter's wild. Drop a comment with your best clapback, and don't forget to share this tea with your squad straight from New York City's finest gossip HQ. There's Subaru, dead tired, chilling next to the carcass of some giant beast he just took down, admitting with a weary grin that playing it safe means taking it slow, but danger? That's all about moving fast. He whipped out his tablet to peep the latest buzz, only to find some joker live streaming as his doppelganger. The streamer rocked a mask just like Subaru's old one and shouted out to an audience way bigger than, "Yo, 80,000 peeps tuned in live as he threw down his challenge on the third floor." Subaru was low-key annoyed seeing all these copycats cashing in on his name and vibe. Out of nowhere, a mission popped up on the stream flashing Narukami Subaru is a total noob, offering 20,000 credits like it was candy. The faker snatched that up with way too much hype and fake gratitude. Then the streams blew up with even crazier, money-making missions, stuff like the Lonely Wallet and Baldness Idol, and each one came with jaw-dropping rewards. Subaru stared at the screen like, no way. He compared the lazy money the phony was raking in to his own grind, risking life and limb fighting monsters for credits, then glanced down at his sad little stash of 50 credits left. He sighed hard, tossed the tablet aside, and accepted that he'd gotta keep throwing down. Wiping blood off his blade, he braced himself for round two. Boom! A fresh horde of salty orcs charged up, and out stepped the boss, an orc general with vibes so thick you could cut him. Subaru stood tall, smirking, telling them, "No poison needles today, boys, but I got something way nastier." He flipped the Wedge of Greed switch, letting his sword suck out his health but boost his power big time. Grinning wild, but still chill, he snapped, "Ain't got time to waste, y'all." Launching himself super high, he stomped one orc's skull like a boss, grabbing some health back plus some mental juice. Then, zooming forward like lightning, slicing through every enemy, he soared above the general and smacked a single, epic hit that took the big guy out cold. Right after, boom, a notification pops up, "Dungeon's done." Standing victorious in the wreckage, Subaru later pulls out his old mask, eyes serious, knowing deep down he's got to rock it again. Facing the mirror, he slaps that mask on, finally getting how the streamer hustle works. If he's diving in, he's going all out, no half-stepping. He kicked off a stream called Narukami Subaru, and trust me, the noise it caused at Suiton Entertainment's HQ was insane. Inside, a lady at her desk watches, clearly annoyed. Quiet as a mouse, Then all of a sudden, she lets out a scream like she saw a ghost. Her coworker rushes over, terrified, asking what's up, and she points at the screen, eyes wide in disbelief. She's cussing up a storm, couldn't wrap her head around some nobody, smashing a near impossible mission only 5 folks had ever beaten. Her coworker tries to chill her out, reminding her that cussing would cost them fines thanks to those strict self-censor rules. Then, he asks, "Who even is this?" She says the name was Sububiki, and her buddy figures it's just another poser or some weird mix of copycats. She explains that with the real Subaru MIA for so long, the strongest fake is basically the closest thing anyone's got. Meanwhile, over in the company's back office, Hatsuka's sitting there grumbling about all those copycats pretending to be Subaru Narukami. Her coworker wonders aloud if streaming as a scene is dying. Hatsuka shuts that down quick, telling him this hustle is their paycheck, even if most gamers think grinding up the towers a boring snooze fest compared to just watching streams. When asked why she herself quit tower climbing for this gig, she just shrugged and said, "I got bored of it, plain and simple." Her coworker teased her a bit, but Hatsuka clapped back, reminding him he bailed on climbing too, and if she had time, she'd be out hunting real talent instead of dealing with all this drama. He confessed it's because he straight up lacks the skill to keep pushing. Hatsuka kept ranting, saying he only joined the tower hoping to bump into Subaru Narukami and lost all drive once her hero disappeared. Then out of nowhere gasps times, Hatsuka points to the screen again. Her coworker jumps over, asking if she's spotted some new weird streamer. She flips him a stream from some dude decked out in Subaru's gear. He laughs, calls it trash and a joke, asking why she's wasting time on some lame second-floor stream with 0 fans, saying it's an insult to her job as a talent scout. But Hatsuka's eyes blaze as she whispers, "Every time I see that mask, I get this weird spark of hope I just can't shake." Without blinking, she drops 1,000 credits donation, leaving her coworker on his knees, mouth open like he's seen a ghost. Meanwhile, Subaru's cruising through the starter dungeon on floor 2, saying the place ain't tough but seriously heavy vibes. He feels like someone's low-key eyeballing him even though he's solo right now. Sifting through viewer comments, one homie asks what floor he's on. Subaru says it's his first real challenge. Another, named Love Money, warns him streaming's risky for newbies who don't know the dungeon's ins and outs. Subaru keeps it moving, cautious AF, when out of nowhere a one-eyed bat swoops down on him. He's quick on the draw, counters, and smacks it flat with a single hit. A defeated notification pops up, scoring him 1 achievement point. Subaru turns to the camera, cool as ice, and's like, "What's good? Got problems or nah?" He keeps trekking the spooky dungeon hall while his chat slowly bubbles up. A viewer named White's flexing on his quick reflexes while Love, "Yo," Money was like, "Chill out, don't get all greedy, wait for a squad." But Subaru, he just skimmed those comments like they were yesterday's drama and threw a polite shout out to Love Money. Still, he kept it real, said rollin' with a team just ain't in his cards right now. Bold as ever, he dropped the mic, saying he'd rather solo the dungeon, which, not gonna lie, sparked a tsunami of haters betting on his epic fail. Like, "You're dead meat, fam." Subaru didn't even blink at their shade, eyes locked on this creepy monster crawling out of the muddy ground ahead. Suddenly, a mud nymph pops up screaming, but dude slid right past, wham, took it down with just 1 slash from his wicked demonic blade. He was like, "Time to see just how far this body can push, let's go." Then, boom, a notification popped up, 2 achievement points scored, and chat was shook, wondering how this monster bit the dust so fast. But hold up, the dungeon suddenly filled with loud screeches as a swarm of bats and mud nymphs rushed at him. Subaru turned into a freaking tornado, slashing enemies left and right, the red glow of his demonic sword painting fiery arcs in the dark. Total boss vibes. Chat went silent like, "What the heck? How's he moving that fast on only the 2nd floor?" More notifications kept popping up, crowning Subaru with monster kills and stacking points. There he was, standing strong amidst the fallen, sword in hand, proving he wasn't just some noob copycat. Nah, this guy was legit, someone worth watching. In the pitch-black cave vibes, Subaru started schooling viewers on how to track enemy numbers and distances by tuning into tiny, sneaky sounds. Of course, the chat came at him with full-on clown mode, calling him a faker like, "Who you trying to fool? You're just a rookie frontin'." Subaru adjusted his mask, thinking, "If y'all really knew who I was, you wouldn't be doubting me." But nah, chat kept roasting, claiming he was just a wannabe Narukami Subaru trying to grab fame. Still, he marched on, calm as ever, reminding himself he barely scraped together any points and needed a whole lot more before bailing from this dungeon. Chat didn't let up either. One joker said real men just rush in headfirst, while another asked if Subaru even did his homework before diving into such a savage spot. Then, out of nowhere, Subaru froze and looked up, and dude, The chat legit lost it when the cam revealed the ceiling was packed with literally hundreds of one-eyed bats, their red eyes glowing like a scene straight out of some horror flick. Panic exploded in chat. Everyone predicted Subaru's doom was sealed. Suddenly, a new mission popped up from a viewer named My Only Stream, throwing down 100 credits if Subaru could take out all those bats. Most folks called it a nasty trap, like that's a sick joke, bro. But Subaru, chill AF, he took the mission and even thanked My Only Stream for the cash. Scene switched to the broadcast office, where Hatsuka's coworker slammed his desk in total frustration after bombing his run to the 6th floor again. He apologized fast for interrupting Hatsuka, but she was glued to her screen, no response. When he asked what she was staring at and why she went all quiet, she just said something felt seriously off. The dude totally misunderstood, going on about money not being a big deal and that he'd pay it back, thinking she was mad about his gambling slip-up. Hatsuka just shook her head, like nah, that ain't it. Then pointed at the screen saying the name Narukami Subaru. Her coworker side-eyed her, still stuck on that tiny stream. But when he peeped the screen, color drained from his face, whispering, This can't be real. On screen, Subaru was wrecking that bat swarm like a freaking hurricane, his sword slicing red-hot trails as monsters piled up. Chat exploded with disbelief like, wait, this newbie is throwing down like a pro on floor 2. Some even felt bad for the bats, LOL. Nobody could wrap their heads around how many creatures he was dropping with every swing. Meanwhile, Subaru's mind flashed back to Shiger's words ages ago. She said he was unreal because even when he switched sword directions mid-swing, his breathing and gaze never broke rhythm. She explained that it looked like a one-hit KO, but actually, he was predicting their moves and planning counters before they even made them. Subaru remembered telling her he wasn't thinking about any of that, just doing his thing, which totally annoyed Shiger back then. She joked that it'd be easier if he couldn't do all that mad skill stuff so naturally, calling him so annoying. The memory faded as Subaru sliced through the last bats, locked in deep focus. He stuck to his golden rule for taking on groups, lock eyes, show you mean business, and never waste time hitting one enemy at a time. He dropped some bat knowledge too, said those one-eyed suckers always charge by headbutting forward, and the bigger their pack, the bigger the kill zone they left wide open for him. So, he dove right into their middle, slicing through like butter. When the dust settled, Subaru was standing tall, blood dripping off his sword, having crushed that crazy swarm. Yo, the viewers were straight up whining that his whole explanation was total nonsense and demanded an apology for messing up their heads. But Subaru, dude stayed ice-cold calm. One savage even compared his tips to telling someone, hey, step 1 foot forward and boom, you can walk. Classic, right? Subaru was just sitting there thinking, man, communication is a freaking nightmare. Then Love Money pops in like, don't forget to snag that challenge reward, dude. And boom, Subaru suddenly realizes he totally blanked on it. He starts poking at the screen all nervous like, making the chat freak out, thinking the stream bugged or froze. Subaru just stared at the screen like it owed him money, trying to figure out how to grab the prize. Chat's cracking up non-stop, roasting his tech skills. Finally, with Love Money guiding his shaky thumbs, he hit the right button and snagged himself 100 credits score. Subaru throws a sincere thank you to the viewers and drops the bomb that the next challenge is going to be the last one. Rolling forward with zero hesitation, his balance hits a sweet 150 credits and his achievement points climb to 118. Meanwhile, at the broadcast office, Hatsuka lets out this loud-ass scream that made her coworker practically jump out of his chair. Dude's like, chill, why you yelling like that? Hatsuka's pointing at her screen, eyes wide like, bro, you ever seen anything like this before? Coworker tries to calm her, saying, hey, it's just the 2nd floor stream, no biggie. But nah, she's losing it, insisting there's a legit reason behind this freakout. He's all apologetic, hoping to keep things chill and not make her more dramatic. Hatsuka's buzzing with excitement, thinking this might actually be Subaru Narukami himself, back from Earth or something. She's spouting off wild fate vibes and reincarnation theories straight out of those crazy novels she binges. Coworkers just watching, worried she's lost it whenever Subaru's name pops up. Hatsuka's feeling lightheaded from the hype, asks Sang Hyen to pinch her to make sure she's not dreaming. Dude totally shuts that down. Then he's like, you're seriously gonna try to recruit this guy? Hatsuka shoots back with all the hype, saying even if he's not the real Subaru, this dude's solo streamer skills are next-level fire, and she's all in for going after him. Sang Hyen tries to be the buzzkill, warning that their boss is gonna lose it if he catches wind. Hatsuka snaps back that he was the one gambling earlier, so he can't get all serious now. She ignores his drama and starts blasting Subaru's stream, telling him to hang tight because she knows she's dead right about this. Meanwhile, Subaru hits the dungeon's final stretch where this huge gate looms ahead. He steps through and bam, a monstrous wolf figure's chilling there, all calm and intimidating. This wolf warrior Greg is giving off that serious boss energy, Even viewers could feel it through the screen. One cheeky viewer jokes about already failing against Greg 8 whole times. Oof. A fresh mission pops up, telling Subaru he's gotta earn Greg the Wolf Warrior's respect to keep going. Subaru explains Greg's no ordinary monster to kill, more like a guardian testing if players are worthy. Then bam! Another mission from some user named Safe Origin shoots up, dangling 3,000 credits if Subaru takes down Greg. Yep, 3,000 credits. Subaru's jaw drops, and viewers go nuts, calling the donor savage for asking the impossible and betting Subaru ain't gonna even try fighting Greg. Wolf Warrior Greg, ruler of the second floor, towers before Subaru as the system flashes a message that Subaru needs to earn Greg's respect. The wolf eyeballs Subaru with some piercing gaze and asks in this deep, gruff voice if he rolled solo. Subaru nods coolly, and Greg steps forward all suspicious-like until Subaru adds, "Anyone can see that just by looking." Greg sniffs him out and says Subaru's got the scent of a true warrior. Chat loses it, roasting the wolf for talking nonsense cause Subaru looks totally average, not some epic beast hunter. Subaru's like in his head, explaining that wolf tribes like Greg's don't just sniff body scent, they sense someone's true essence. Mind blown. The Guardian gives a nod, confirming Subaru's got what it takes, ends the test, and lets him pass. Viewers did not see that coming. But Subaru, nah, he's not walking through that gate. He mumbles something like, "This didn't happen in my previous life," and says it's kind of a bummer because his real target was the wolf all along. Greg freezes and asks if Subaru's seriously planning to throw down with him instead of just walking through the gate. Subaru nods hard, no hesitation. His eyes glow faintly from behind the mask as he spills that someone asked him to take down the Guardian. Greg flashes his fangs in a grin, saying Subaru's got the heart of a warrior, just like he expected. Back at Suit and Entertainment HQ, department boss John Teal's banging on his keyboard like a maniac, eyeballing the reports. He snaps, "What's the viewer count on that stream?" So Siang Hyun stammers, it's like 20, but Hatsuka jumps in quick with zero chill. "Nah, it's past 30, dumbass." The manager shoots them both a death glare, accusing them of wasting time on streams and gambling instead of on talent scouting like they're supposed to be doing. Hatsuka barely hears him and keeps glued to the screen, muttering about the count hitting 30, which just makes the manager more annoyed. Then he sarcastically asks if she's aiming to be a streamer herself. Before he could finish, bam. Hatsuka suddenly screamed that the count had hit over 40, cutting off his rant mid-sentence as he yelled back, trying to grab attention. Back underground, Subaru squared off against the Wolf Warrior, who snarled, ready to tear him apart. Subaru tightened his grip on that demonic blade, forcing his mind to laser focus on the fight while the weapon started sucking his health and magic to pump up its power. His strength surged in sync with that energy drain, and he worked hard to steady his breath, while the Wedge of Greed skill kicked in, softening the blade's backlash. He told himself to fight his way like always, even if this body felt brand new. Greg lunged with claws, cutting through stone and air, and sparks flew everywhere as Subaru blocked the savage attack. The beast kept throwing lightning-fast strikes from every angle, barely letting Subaru block or dodge a single one. Quickly, Subaru realized trying to match that wolf's pure muscle wasn't going to happen. Time for Plan B. Greg kept pounding him and went on praising Subaru's stamina but threw in a brutal line saying there was no way Subaru could win this fight. The chat went wild with comments calling Subaru out, predicting he'd get wrecked, saying his style was way too defensive and Greg's raw strength was just insane. Some even told him to bounce and come back stronger later, blaming the mission boss for asking the impossible. Subaru took a step back to catch his breath, thinking fast that winning ain't always about raw power alone. Greg, looking pretty pleased, declared the fight was done and promised a quick finish. He slammed the ground so hard it shattered rocks and kicked up a massive dust storm. But wait, Subaru popped out from the dust cloud, firing back that those lines were his own speeches, telling Greg his attacks were straight-up predictable and one-sided. Greg froze as Subaru slickly dodged the next attempted bite and claw swipe with mad agility, claiming dodging those moves was easy peasy. Seizing his shot, Subaru sliced deep into Greg's side, making the big bad wolf howl in pain, following up with a brutal downward strike that pierced into Greg's chest, spraying blood everywhere. Subaru stood tall and icy, while Greg grudgingly admitted Subaru's skill and called him a true warrior before breathing his last. Subaru stayed right there, surrounded by blood-soaked rocks, as the system flashed messages crowning him victor over the Wolf Warrior. Level jumped up by 2, muscles got beefier, reflexes sharper, plus alerts popped for boosted focus and magic. Then boom, 500 achievement points just dropped in one go. The stream chat blew up with shocked fans going nuts that one dude soloed a monster like that. Subaru huffed for breath, whispering a low-key, "Yeah, I got this." The viewer count shot up to 56 as people hyped up the brave soul who accepted that crazy mission. Then, a notification showed Subaru had completed the challenge, and 3,000 credits got transferred from Safe Origin. Dude checked his screen and promised himself he'd spend that unexpected cash wisely. His balance shot past 3,000, and his achievement points hit 600 just like that. Slowly, this massive gate creaked open with a deep, booming sound. He felt a weird energy vibe that even the watchers sensed. Then a flashy interface popped up before him, showing off a full spread of elemental trial paths: ice, fire, earth, illusion, poison, metal, soul, and water. The chat was shook, saying no one had ever hit above 16, and that number showed how talented a player was. Subaru ignored the background noise and locked eyes on the lightning trial. The system popped up, asking if you want to pick that one. The crowd went crazy, cheering him on, and Subaru answered smooth, "Heck yeah, I'm all in." System approved the pick, and Subaru stepped right into the bright light flooding the gate. Meanwhile, back at the office, Hatsuka jumped out of her chair, hollering with pure joy at Subaru's win. She flashed her phone to the squad, pointing at that stream count already hitting 60, and she was straight up amazed to see 13 test options pop up for him. John Teal sweated bullets watching her, nervously wiping his brow, admitting low-key that beating the undefeated Wolf Warrior was seriously next level. But he kept telling himself Subaru was still a rookie on just the second floor and that betting on him now would be a bad move. Hatsuka wasn't buying that excuse. She dropped a bombshell, shocking everyone at work. She said straight up she and Siang Hyan would work for fixed pay for 5 years if Subaru didn't snag the lightning element. But if he did, the boss had to seal a contract with him right then and there. Xiang Haiyun freaked and shouted, fixed salaries for 5 years if Subaru failed to obtain the lightning element, but if he succeeded, the manager would have to sign a contract with him on the spot. Xiang Haiyun panicked and shouted, "Yo!" So the manager was all like, "Nah, he's not down with any of this drama and barely knows the streamer." Pushing Hatsuka aside with a smirk, he threw shade, telling them the odds were mad slim, because the only dude to ever snag lightning was Subaru Narukami himself. Hatsuka just flashed this sly, unbothered grin and fired back, "You won't know till we try, fam." The manager took the bet with zero chill, while Hatsuka clamped a hand over her buddy's mouth to keep his 2 cents from spilling. Back in the test zone, the system blared the start of the lightning trial just as Subaru caught this sketchy vibe real quick. Then, bam, someone yelled a warning and shoved him out of the way right before a crazy blast exploded, sending rocks and rubble flying everywhere. When all the chaos died down, this massive white beast was just standing there, flexing like it owned the place. Meanwhile, the random stranger who came to Subaru's rescue started yelling at him for zoning out, asking if he wanted to die or what. Right after, a system alert popped up telling Subaru he needed to take down the giant fragment as soon as possible. Subaru dropped to his knees, totally stunned, like how the heck did this monster end up here? The giant let out this huge roar, totally baffling everyone watching like, why the heck is a giant from the giant tribe showing up in a lightning trial anyway? Subaru was just staring, trying to process this monster. He got this uneasy feeling realizing this was no regular baddie, it was a boss-level beast that was supposed to show up in the trial's second half, not right out of nowhere at the start. Just as the giant raised its massive club to wreck him, Subaru was thinking quietly, did killing that wolf warrior Greg mess up the test and crank the difficulty way up? The giant slammed its club down hard, making the whole arena shake and tossing chunks of rock everywhere. Subaru dodged without breaking a sweat and noted that, crazy as it looked, this beast's strength was nowhere near Greg's level. He felt lucky for knowing that ahead of time. The dude who saved him started shouting again, calling him a waste of effort and telling him to bounce while he still could. But Subaru? Nah, he was mad, motivated to finish the fight before anyone else jumped in. He pulled out his sword, switched on this wild demon blade power that drained his health but amped up his fighting skills. To keep from totally wrecking himself, he triggered the level 2 Greed Wedge skill, pushing his body just enough to handle the sword's savage hunger. When the giant charged with a thunderous stomp, Subaru slid out of the way, watching the floor crack under the beast's weight. Instead of backing off, he charged forward and sprinted up the giant's arm like he was in a superhero movie. The giant had no clue what just happened, blinking like, wait, what? And before it even processed, Subaru was already behind it midair. He landed hard on its shoulder and stabbed that sword deep, causing this thick spray of blood. The monster let out a howl of pain, but Subaru just gave a side eye and muttered something about it being annoying. With one sharp, brutal slash, he shut that beast up for good, telling it to keep quiet for the rest of its miserable life. Blood gushed from its neck as the giant crashed down like a ton of bricks. Then bam, a system message popped up, announcing the giant fragment was officially down and Subaru cleared stage 4. The folks watching the stream completely freaked, like wait, how did he jump straight to stage 4 just like that? More pop-ups followed, showing his levels shooting up and his strength, speed, health, and magic all getting juiced. He also snagged 4,000 achievement points in one go, plus 2 rare goodies, the Giant's Heart and Lightning Bolt armor. Chat went wild, totally floored by the insane rewards and that epic move of clearing first to 4th stage by killing Greg. The dude who saved him came running back out of breath. Chat called him Falcon. Falcon gazed at Subaru, totally shook, and asked straight up what Subaru even was. Subaru coolly sheathed his sword and threw back, "Falcon, just look and you'll know." Then he struck that hero pose and dropped the line, "I'm the one who took down the giant." Even though the viewers roasted his dramatic, kind of vague flex, the scene switched to this chill little village where Subaru walked into an inn and crashed on a bed to chill. Fans in chat immediately started begging to see the loot he scored, hyped for some crazy powerful gear. Subaru happily agreed, saying he was curious too, and popped open his inventory. First up was the Giant's Heart, a rare ring that pumped his health by 2 points and boosted his recovery, which he low-key loved. Next was the Lightning Bolt armor, a rare defensive piece that boosted defense by 5 points, ran on lightning energy, and even had a special skill that could smash negative effects once a day. Plus, when he wore it, he looked way more badass with that slick lightning vibe. Out of nowhere, a new mission popped from a viewer named Narukami Koa, offering 5,000 credits just for learning the lightning skill. Then came missions from folks like I Am Bald, Mission Villain, and Safe Origin, all throwing huge stacks of credits just to watch him rock lightning powers. Subaru thanked them all big time and promised he'd absolutely show off that lightning power. Still, staring at the long list of pricey requests, he wondered why so many people were just waiting for him to pull out the lightning skill, and a weird little suspicion started creeping in. Subaru began piecing together that the original Subaru Narukami held way more clout than he thought. Before he could dive deeper into that thought, someone knocked on the door, breaking his vibe, and he let the person in. Chat immediately noticed from the comments that someone might be eavesdropping. The door swung open and in walked Falcon with this handsome knight, gleaming in polished armor. Falcon greeted the knight with mad respect, apologized for being late, and introduced him as Lord Pellis, the commander of this village's knights. Falcon filled them in on how giant raids have been popping off a lot lately, so the knights have been fully geared up 24/7, keeping the villagers safe. They told the people to stay indoors unless they absolutely had to go out. Pellis was chatting with his helper about security plans. Yo, Falcon was totally tripping about running into some new traveler during all this crazy chaos. Then Pellis turned to Subaru like, "Hey, on behalf of the whole village, big thanks, man. Heard you've been holding it down," while the knights dipped out. Subaru kept it humble, all like, "Ah, I just did what any decent peep would do." But when he peeped Pellis up close, he was like, "Wait a sec, you're that knight who's basically the village's human shield, right?" Pellis got real serious, sharing how on their scout mission, they finally tracked down the giant boss's hideout. He was dead set, telling Subaru they'd risk everything to lock this dude down. Then Pellis bowed low, swallowing his pride as the squad's leader, and straight up begged for Subaru's backup for the sake of everyone in the village. "You feel me?" Subaru kept quiet, peeping the live stream blowing up with viewers dropping mad warnings. The chat was wild, folks shouting Pellis's name and some begging to stop spoiling the drama about to go down. Subaru's brain jogged to the OG story, remembering the brutal truth. Pellis was a goner in the next chapter. Knowing this sucks big time, Subaru told Pellis to lift that chin up, looking at him with a mix of tough love and "I got you" vibes. Pellis nodded, relief flooding his face like he just got his second wind. Right then, bam. A system ping popped up declaring the 5th stage was live, survival mode, baby. The squad pushed toward those gnarly mountains, Subaru weaving through, checking his tablet like a boss. The viewer count exploded, but the chat was zooming too fast to keep up. Communication? Yeah, it got tough real quick. Out of nowhere, Pellis raises his hand, everyone halts. He's peeping the distance and whispers, "Yo, enemies here." The giant boss was crashed out against a hill, tattoos, and a wild beard making him look like the ultimate savage. Pellis whip-cracked a plan real quick, saying he'd bait the boss while Subaru snuck up from behind for the element of surprise. But Subaru put the brakes on him, sensing some serious off vibes. His eyes blew wide as he murmured, "Dude, that boss ain't rolling solo." Suddenly, the earth ripped open and more giants popped out of the shadows, circling the boss like creepy bodyguards or hungry beasts. Total setup, y'all. The horizon filled up with these pale-faced giants flashing creepy grins, encircling the knights like a death squad. Pellis totally froze, jaw dropped at just how massive this ambush was, just as one giant snatched a knight and smashed him like a bug. Screams tore through the air while another giant calmly chowed down on a soldier like it was snack time. Blood splatter everywhere, turning the rocky ground into a horror flick. Total chaos swallowed the formation, and the knights were straight up screaming for help. Their voices cracked with fear as confusion swallowed the lineup. One officer yelled a desperate retreat to base, but panic was already king of the hill. The Knights' tight formation shattered instantly, and they scattered in full panic mode as those giants charged like wild beasts, ripping through them one by one. One Knight screamed like a banshee as a giant grabbed him, and his little bro begged the monster to chill, but his squad mates held him back, knowing rushing in meant death. The younger dude sobbed, calling for his big bro who got crushed under the giant's stomp, turning the battlefield into a brutal bloodbath with limbs flying. Through the madness, Commander Pellis yelled orders for a full-on retreat, no questions asked. He pushed hard, telling them to live for their fam and promising they'd bounce back and fight again. The surviving knights bolted toward the forest, running for dear life like it was a Black Friday sale. Pellis handed Falcon the reins, charging him with protecting the fighters as they pulled back. Then he turned to Subaru, who was still rooted like a statue amid the carnage, yelling at him to scram too, begging him to survive so they could rebuild and take the fight back. But Subaru wasn't having it. He drew his blazing red sword and cut the dude off cold, saying, "Nah, bro, that line's for me." Then he just started moving forward, cool as ice, walking right into the giant horde straight into the chaos while everyone else was bolting. Pellis stood there, stunned, totally shook by this wild stranger's plan. Subaru paused and looked Pellis dead in the eye, real serious. Told him he couldn't fight right with Pellis messing around nearby. Laying down the law, it was stay out of here or die fighting side by side. Pellis initially freaked, yelling he'd never leave someone hanging. Subaru's tone got ice cold, warning him not to make him repeat himself. Finally, Pellis gave in, voice shaking, promising to rally the others and begging Subaru to hang tight till they got back. Then he sprinted off, yelling he owed Subaru everything. Alone now, Subaru faced down those monstrous giants, flashing twisted little smiles and towering over him. He charged in with his black sword flashing, steady and calm, stating straight up he's the one standing in their way now. He zipped between their legs like lightning, landing sharp, killing blows. Knocked down two giants quick, and the system dinged with neat notifications rewarding him with achievement points. Even in the heat of battle, Subaru was real with himself, test or not. The whole left behind to buy time vibe still haunted him, and man, he still wasn't used to that heavy roll. Yo, Pellis was dashing away with the crew, glancing back at the fight, sweat dripping down like a waterfall, totally freaked out and guilt-ridden. What he saw was straight-up nightmare fuel. Giants were swarming Subaru from all sides like some crazy beast horde. Folks in the live chat were calling Subaru's moves straight-up suicide, yelling that the numbers were bonkers and there was no way he'd make it out alive. But Subaru, nah, his head was on something way deeper. He thought about Pellis, who in the OG timeline was supposed to bite the dust right here, and dude realized with his new powers, he might just flip the script and save Pellis' sorry butt. Two giants charged at him at once, but Subaru was like, not today, blocking like a pro and slicing one clean through. Then ping! A notification popped up, adding mad points. His sword was sucking the life out of him like crazy, but each ounce of stamina lost just juiced up his power even more. Subaru spun around the battlefield like a wild hurricane, chopping giants left and right, telling himself they weren't so bad solo. The real sweat was how much his body could handle the sword's crazy demands. Switching gears, he jumped up high to get a better view and hunt down the boss. Bouncing off giant bodies like stepping stones, slicing off heads from above, shredding their ranks with pure savage energy, and finaling it off with a skull-crushing kick that would make any legend proud. The chat went wild, drooling over Subaru's sick aerial moves, straight-up Narukami Subaru vibes from back in the day. That greed wedge skill he had was kinda easing the sword's nasty side effects, and Subaru felt his health and mind creep back just a bit, whispering to himself, yo, dope gear really changes the game. But with giant after giant closing in, he locked onto one goal only, take down the boss before his body totally crashed. Then, boom. The Giant King rolled in with a terrifying grin, eyes blazing savage fire, weapon raised, ready to smash everything to bits. He was a beast towering over Subaru, but our guy charged straight up with zero doubt. He knew real talk, if he didn't end this now, game over. Summoning every shred of strength left, Subaru activated his Lightning Bolt armor's active skill, a massive electric shield, hoping this power surge would save his sorry life. Boom. Thunder ripped the sky as a giant golden lightning bolt blasted the field, lighting it up like 4th of July. The shockwave froze the giants dead in their tracks, giving Subaru the opening he needed. He dove in from above, closing in on the boss, who howled in agony and fury. Subaru stabbed his cursed sword deep into the giant's neck, pushing forward even though he felt his life slipping away like sand through fingers. Finally, the giant boss tumbled down with a massive crash, shaking the ground. System popped up announcing the giant seed was done for and Subaru had cleared the 5th survival stage, called it a crazy epic feat. Then boom, more notifications. His level jumped up 2 notches, plus power, speed, stamina, and magic all boosted. The live chat exploded asking if anyone had ever taken down this boss before, and nope, nobody had. This stage was never meant to be beaten like this. Subaru looked at his wrecked self, wishing he could have finished it off with some slick comic-style move, but nah, reality hit way harder. As the clouds cleared up, the remaining giants stumbled, confused after losing their leader. Subaru slammed down, gasping for air. That greed wedge didn't fully block the sword's kickback, and damn, the side effects were crushing him hard. Then the chill hit. The monsters didn't vanish. Rules said they stayed till the timer ran out. Giants slowly snapped back, eyes burning with murder as they zeroed in on him. That little loophole Subaru played? Yeah, it just backfired big time. Drained and barely standing, Subaru was surrounded with those creepy giant grins, closing in to finish the job while he couldn't even throw a punch. Just as a giant lifted its massive fist for the kill, bam. This insane black and gold lightning bolt slammed down from the heavens, hitting Subaru dead on, followed by a mammoth explosion of energy. Cut to a chill wooden cabin deep in a peaceful forest. A woman was sitting outside on this old chair, soaking up the sunlight like pure zen. When Sugar stepped out and asked why she was chilling solo, she smiled softly, saying the weather was perfect and the air so fresh, adding with a calm vibe that these chill moments were the best they got for now. Sugar glanced toward the tree line too, nodding serious-like and saying their clock was ticking hard, maybe 1 year left max. Sugar's face tightened, saying the finale was fast approaching. Then he noticed Rena glued to her device, not paying attention at all. With a sigh, Sugar called her out, saying she always does this when things get heavy. Curious as heck, he asked what had her so hooked, and she just held up her screen, showing a pic of this masked figure claiming to be Narukami Subaru. Sugar's eyes went wide in shock instantly. Yo, he practically shouted the name in shock, but Rena cut him off with this ice-cold, steady vibe, straight up saying the dude on the screen was deaf, not the Subaru they all knew back in the day. She played the live stream for him, telling him the masked guy was just some streamer flexing Subaru's name while testing out the second floor challenge. Sugar stared, totally shook, as the fighter's moves hit him right in the feels like an old memory. Rena slapped some real talk on him, saying if Subaru was actually alive, Kazuki would have been wiped from the tower ages ago. When Sugar was like, say what now? She shot him a sharp, sad look and dropped the harsh truth. Subaru's gone and it's time to face it. Sugar tried to shut it all down with a tired, let's just drop it, but Rena wasn't having it, calling his name like a boss, asking how long he was going to keep hiding behind memories of that kid. Sugar clapped back cold, asking why she even bothered tuning into the stream if she was sure Subaru was toast. Rena shrugged it off, saying she was just killing time, no biggie. Then bam. Her eyes blew wide open, frozen on the spot. Sugar, catching the wild vibe, peeped the screen too and went totally silent, disbelief hitting hard. Over on the battlefield, this insane burst of golden lightning ripped through the earth, sending giants flying like they were toys. The dust started to clear, and bam. Subaru popped up in the middle of the chaos, wrapped in crackling electric vibes. A system pop-up floated in front of him, saying he just snagged the thunder skill. His eyes glowed red under that mask, as he scored 2,000 achievement points and got the choice to keep grinding or bail out, leaving everyone watching frozen. Subaru muttered, confused AF, realizing this spot wasn't supposed to be where you learn thunder. The chat blew up with wild guesses, saying beating the giant boss was probably the secret unlock. Subaru peeped the A+ rank thunder skill description and nodded low-key, knowing it drained both health and magic. Meanwhile, the remaining giants were getting their act together again. He quietly thanked whatever crazy luck kept him kicking till now. Missions and huge donations started flooding and thousands of credits from hyped followers. Subaru gave a heartfelt shout-out, and when his balance climbed past 20,000 credits, dude figured he owed them a real show. So yeah, he geared up to throw down again. Those giants roared and charged like maniacs. Ready to prove a point, he blew 20,000 credits in one go, upgrading Wedge of Greed. The system announced that level 3 now let him shrug off Thunder's wicked counterattack. Subaru wanted to charge himself fully with lightning, but he played it smart and squeezed it all into his right arm. Then he blasted forward like pure lightning incarnate. The mystery demon's sword in his grip sparked with crazy destructive energy as he charged the giants. Raising his blade high, he shouted it was time to let loose, old-school style, and slammed down with savage power. A massive gash of red and electric energy sliced through the ground, breaking the giant squad apart. When the dust settled, Subaru was panting hard, sweat dripping as he cursed himself for bad planning. Should have saved some juice to get back. Giant corpses littered the place. His body swayed. He leaned on the sword stuck in the ground to stay up, totally drained. Then the clatter of armored footsteps came fast. A band of knights sprinted over, and Pellis, who dashed back from the front lines, saw Subaru falling. Pellis swore out loud, calling him the savior, rushing over. As Subaru's vision blurred, just before he hit the ground, he muttered tired and sarcastic, calling Pellis a fool for even coming back. Then he passed out just as Pellis caught him. Meanwhile, back at the office of Suits and Showbiz, Hatsuka stared hard at her phone on the table, while her manager and coworker Siang Hyan watched from behind, totally confused by her tense vibes. The manager asked if all this drama was even worth it, but Siang Hyan piped up quick, saying, "Bro, you don't get women, so quit asking." Hatsuka buried her red-hot face in her hands, moaning in embarrassment, thinking about the message she sent earlier. Worried it sounded too stiff and formal, she wished she'd tossed in a cute emoji or softened the tone. She freaked, thinking he might see it as cold business talk. Siang Hyan teased her, asking if she was crushing on that streamer, getting a fiery denial back. It was strictly professional, but the real issue was totally different. Her cool act shattered, and she admitted the truth. She'd been a total fangirl before even thinking of managing him, and now she couldn't help but feel nervous. The manager tried calming her down, until he remembered that clutch info, the Thunder skill soloed by Subaru Narukami before. Hatsuka lit up, saying the title wasn't exclusive anymore. Others had it now too. Siang Hyan sighed relief, glad their paychecks were safe for now thanks to this scoop. The manager rubbed his chin, deep in thought, mumbled how no wonder no one else snagged that skill before and agreed the new contender was def someone to watch closely. Then Hatsuka's phone dinged, and she let out a happy scream, yelling that Subaru Narukami just read their email, but the hype crashed instantly. Her face went stiff, and her body froze, and girl just went totally mute when she saw he'd read the message but ghosted her reply. She sat there, stiff as a statue, while her coworkers threw her those "aw, poor you" looks like she was starring in a soap opera. Inside this insane tech setup with screens glowing like a neon jungle, Hawkeye was getting ready to rock his next live stream. Dude is basically the streaming king known for slicing through player drama with surgical precision and skills that make him unbeatable. Everyone in the streaming game knows Hawkeye's got that razor-sharp insight and deep street smarts for combat skills that let him totally own the arena and keep his rep untouchable. Checking out highlight reels of all kinds of players, he was hyped about Kurakawa Ammon, the fresh face in Blue Zone, calling him a stealthy dark horse climbing the ranks faster than you can blink. He flicked through shots of old pros too, nodding along. He gave props to Kazuki, once OG Blue Eyes Guild, who's been getting some fresh buzz lately. But today, Hawkeye was like, nah, let's dive into a totally different kind of legend. He told himself this episode was all about the legend that spans eras, Subaru Narukami, and no matter the noise, he swore down that lightning skill. Yeah, it's all Subaru's magic. When the stream flipped on, Hawkeye came in hot, hyping the crowd and announcing they were going to dive deep into the most talked-about player on the block right now. He threw up combat clips and told everyone, yo, don't jump to conclusions. But barely a minute in, his cool facade cracked. Sweat popped on his brow as he leaned in, jaw practically on the desk. He hissed under his breath, stunned at the insane focus this newbie was rocking. Dropped how this player just picked up the lightning skill, but was throwing down moves with precision that seemed way beyond normal human limits. Hawkeye pointed out how Subaru poured the exact times right power into his sword. No extra, no less, and nailed every single move perfectly. Straight up said the guy didn't mess up once that whole fight. Then he threw it to chat, like, yo, where the heck did this beast come from? Noting barely half the crowd even got how wild that footage was. Wrapped up his deep dive with mad confidence, saying this kid was about to blow up big time and that Hawkeye was locking eyes on him heavy. Then he paused, eyes flashing with serious vibes, dropping the bomb that, skill-wise, this fresh Subaru might actually outclass the OG Subaru Narukami at his peak. Meanwhile, back inside the tower's chill room, Subaru was gasping awake, breathing hard. System messages floated in like, Stage 6 on standby and letting him know his body was good as new after all that grind. Subaru decided to kick back instead of pushing forward. The system demanded he finish the last stage and be at zero fatigue, which he was physically at least, though his brain was still feeling toast. He grabbed his device and thanked his squad, eyeballing the stream's count, hitting 742 by the time he called it quits. Totally shook it, climbed that high without him noticing. He threw out a quick sorry for the pause, said he'd chill for a day, and promised to be back streaming the day after tomorrow. The system pinged the end of broadcast and Subaru bounced. Heading to the lounge, he peeped his notifications and saw a message that stood out. Came from this Hatsutsuka character, a manager at Suiten Entertainment, thanking him for his time and asking him to peep his inbox. The note hyped their company as the real deal for full streamer support and max profit margins in the biz. Subaru stared at his phone, side-eyeing if this was just spam. Had never heard of Suiten Entertainment before. Later, chilling at a low-key, vintage-style outdoor cafe, sipping on some coffee while digging into the company's background. Turns out, Suiten Entertainment is a huge multi-channel network all about repping streamers and dropping serious cash to boost their growth. The scale blew his mind. and he muttered low-key about how much the game's changed, that this kind of company even exists. He kept scrolling and found people buzzing about Hawkeye's recent shout-out on him, heated debates if Subaru was the next bait for Hawkeye, and all kinds of fire arguments on whether this newbie could actually outrun the OG Subaru Narukami when it came to skill and control. Some folks were straight up trashing Hawkeye, claiming he was biased because of his links to Suiten. Subaru caught this and blushed, whispering the analyst's got a sharp eye, no doubt. Outside the cafe, Isaac was fuming hardcore while scrolling through the same analysis. That bit saying the new Subaru could schmooze past the prime Subaru Narukami, yeah, got him twisted. His face scrunched in total disgust, muttering that Subaru was just a rookie barely hitting the second floor. Ray's fire was lit. He cursed Hawkeye under his breath and swore he'd rip those eyes out once he smashed through the stage. Still simmering mad, Isaac busted into the cafe, grumbling about his rough day only to spot Subaru sitting chill at a table like it was a casual hangout. Bitter smirk flashed across his face, thinking the universe was trolling him hard since Subaru kept popping up everywhere he went. Isaac strolled past Subaru's spot and smashed into the table on purpose, splashing hot coffee all over Subaru's outfit. Subaru jumped up, yelping from the burn, while Isaac played innocent, like, oops, my bad. That's when he pretended to finally recognize. Subaru flexed a cocky grin, dropping, man, I swear I keep bumping into you all over the place lately. Then joked the second floor must be extra small, no biggie. With fake generosity, Isaac was like, hey, let me grab you a coffee, dude, since you're always broke. Subaru just gave 0 Fs, turning away. Isaac shouted for him to chill, but Subaru shot him a frosty glare that immediately got under Isaac's skin. Subaru low-key reminded him, yo, I warned you last time. You lost your marbles doing this again. Isaac's temper popped off. He grabbed Subaru's collar, called him scum, and got all up close, threatening to crush him like last time and that wiping that arrogant smirk off wouldn't cut it. Subaru stayed cold as ice, saying he ain't got time today for childish drama. He grabbed Isaac's hand, pried it off his collar, then squeezed so hard that Isaac just froze, totally shook, wondering how Subaru got so ripped. Stepping back, Subaru snapped, consider this payback for your spilled coffee, and thanks for the treat, before dipping out. Isaac lost it, yelling like a wild man for Subaru to come back, but Subaru ignored him and bounced from the cafe. Isaac cursed the whole world. Narukami Subaru was like a nightmare stalking the tower, feeling like both versions of that name existed just to haunt him. Meanwhile, Subaru pulled out his tablet, checked something, and suddenly remembered a message he'd gotten earlier. He grabbed his phone, getting ready to reply. Elsewhere, Hadetsuka was chilling in her bathtub, lazily poking her rubber ducky when her phone buzzed. She peeked at the screen and instantly froze. Subaru had texted back, promising to meet up soon. Her face lit up, excitement flooding in as she shot up, splashing water like a maniac. Meanwhile, deep in this dungeon full of exiled lizardmen, water dripped through slim canals, and dead monsters floated creepy and silent in the murky waters. Subaru stepped into the boss room, calm as ever, his sword glowing with layered light, ready for the showdown. A system message blinked, saying Wedge of Greed was struggling against the nasty backlash from that cursed blade. Subaru told himself he was finally syncing with his body's limits and rhythm. Straight out of the shadows, the salamander appeared, a huge flame-covered beast crawling on the walls. Its ear-piercing roar shook the chamber, and Subaru decided to be cautious this time, testing his new powers carefully, remembering those past slip-ups. Zeroing in, he worked on controlling his thunder skill, seeing how hard he could push. He supercharged his legs, speeding toward the monster like a lightning bolt ready to crash the party. For just a sec, his current self overlapped with the ghost of past Subaru, moving smooth and certain. Thunder crackled around the cursed sword, sparking wild energy. Subaru blasted forward with crazy power, slicing through flames and air, smashing straight into the salamander's attack with dazzling sparks flying everywhere. System alarms blinked red, warning that Wedge of Greed hadn't fully handled the thunder's backlash. Pain ripped through Subaru, but the skill leveled up, toughening its resistance. Ignoring the burn, Subaru pushed his attack harder. With one clean, powerful slash, he cut through the fiery beast, triggering an energy explosion that shook the whole room. The system declared the dungeon cleared, giving him sweet boosts to strength, health, and magic. He stepped out into the shady forest, noticing his stamina wasn't drained as bad as usual. Checking his fatigue levels, it read 61. Knowing he could safely handle a bit more output, he still felt tension twisting in his chest. Upgrading Wedge of Greed cost a serious chunk, 40,000 credits, twice as steep as before. Dragging himself forward, he grumbled, wishing somebody would just pop in with a fat paycheck job offer. But nah, that wish was just a joke when a voice sliced through the trees. Out hunting or what? Subaru froze straight up, recognizing that annoying tone. Isaac stepped from the shadows, wearing a grin that spelled trouble, acting like he was savoring this moment. Isaac sneered darkly. Man, we've known each other forever, but you still manage to catch me off guard every time. Subaru hit him with a cold, bored look, calling him relentless and annoying. Isaac admitted he'd thought it over, but his fury had boiled way past holding back. He stepped up real close, laying down the law like they gotta settle this beef right here, right now. Subaru, not even flinching, stone-cold face. Nah. He just threw out a tiny, sarcastic smirk like this drama was just another Tuesday, like, whatever, bring it on. Meanwhile, under the chill night sky, Hawkeye was cruising through the sleepy streets, sliding into his go-to coffee spot. Just as he was about to grab his drink, someone shouted his name. He spun around and spotted the manager from Suit and Entertainment chillin' nearby, straight up saying, "Yo, finally caught you." They kicked it together, swapping those polite, "Hey, how you doin's?" Hawkeye hit him up about how the management gig was rolling, and the manager dropped it smooth, said, "Slow and steady wins the race. Growth's gotta be chill and steady to keep it real." Then he flipped the question right back to Hawkeye, asking how his own live streams were holding up. Hawkeye shrugged it off, saying views stayed pretty steady since the top players never really changed much. Sensing this wasn't just some casual drop-in, Hawkeye set his coffee down and straight up asked what was really going on. The manager leaned in and dropped the name Narukami Subaru. Yeah, the rookie Hawkeye recently broke down. He wanted to know if Hawkeye was for real when he hyped Subaru up. Without missing a beat, Hawkeye said this new kid had raw skills, even more control than the OG Subaru Narukami's. But then he snapped, saying whether that talent could actually climb the tower to the big leagues was a whole different story. The manager smiled like he'd heard the perfect pitch and revealed his real move, pulling rookie Subaru into their agency squad. Hawkeye laughed, giving props to his manager's hustle, but he threw some shade, pointing out Subaru's numbers and fame were way too small to roll with a giant like Suten. The manager set his cup down and said if Hawkeye believed in this guy, that was all the proof he needed. Then he spilled the tea. They wanted a collab between Hawkeye and Subaru to blow up Subaru's name. Meanwhile, deep in the woods, Isaac was coming at Subaru with mad hostility. He was straight up roasting Subaru's dungeon run, calling it pure dumb luck and suggesting the dude bolted as soon as he got hurt. He warned him not to be delusional, thinking he was the legendary Narukami Subaru or could snag the thunder skill. His voice was cold as ice, choking Subaru's shoulder hard while cursing the name Narukami Subaru with pure venom. Isaac hissed bitterly that if the real Subaru was 6 feet under, he should just stay dead and buried. His eyes were red-hot fury as he muttered that. Every single Subaru he ran into drove him crazy. Subaru exhaled slow, sounding all sad about how messed up it was that after the OG Subaru died, his legacy was just a bunch of copycats and wannabes. Still, he needed answers. He called Isaac out flat. Was all this hate just because of the Subaru name? Seemed silly, considering how much people actually love that name. Boom, Isaac exploded. He basically screamed right in Subaru's face, demanding if he had the balls to talk like that, knowing exactly who his dad was. Subaru blinked, totally unfazed, and asked what that had to do with anything, calling out Isaac's obsession with dragging his dad into every single thing. Isaac snapped back. My dad's Reinhardt. Duh. The name hit Subaru like a lightning bolt. Reinhardt, top dog, high ranker on the 9th floor, one-shot swordsman legend. His mind flashed back to when the tower shook with that crazy news. Earthling Subaru Narukami had taken down Reinhardt in one swift strike, fight over in less than 30 seconds. Subaru remembered the bloody mess. Reinhardt was, screaming in denial, falling into the crater carved by Subaru's attack. Snap back to present, Isaac was yelling in pure rage, calling Subaru a punk and warning him to keep his dad's name out of his mouth. Finally, Subaru got it. Isaac wasn't just hating on him personally. Nah, it was some twisted legacy pain. His dad's humiliation was carved deep into that hatred. Subaru glared hard, sharp as ice, telling Isaac if he really knew what Haas Subaru went through because of this dumb grudge. Isaac lost it, shouted at Subaru to shut it, refusing to hear one more word as flames erupted all over him, ready to throw down. He unleashed a fiery roar, saying there was zero time for chit-chat and told Subaru to get on with dying already. The fire blew way up as Isaac lost control of his rage. He screamed hysterically that he hated Narukami Subaru so much it made him sick to his stomach. His voice cracked with venom as he ranted about how Subaru was nothing special but somehow grabbed all the spotlight and strutted around like he owned the place. With a twisted, fiery grin, Isaac threw shade on Shad and Freuda, calling them arrogant and saying they were rotting in hell just as served. Then he lobbed a massive fireball right at Subaru, yelling that carrying the Subaru name was the last shred of luck he'd ever have. The blast rocked the whole forest, smoke and flames everywhere. Isaac covered his face like he was all remorseful, acting like he went way too far and accidentally killed his buddy in a brutal way. Staring at his charred hand, Isaac muttered coldly that his next target was that masked streamer. But just then, A calm voice cut through the flames, asking which masked dude he was talking about. Isaac froze up. The fire parted like curtains and out stepped Subaru, totally unscathed, holding the mask in one hand, eyes ice cold, asking if that's the mask he meant. Isaac's eyes popped wide, straight up haunted, whispering, "No way." He freaked out, totally losing it, unable to wrap his head around how Subaru took a direct blast like that and didn't even get burned. Before Isaac could blink, Subaru snapped into action and landed a brutal punch right in his face, mocking him, asking if that hurt and calling him a spoiled brat throwing a hissy fit. Subaru wasn't done. He followed up with a savage hit to Isaac's gut, making him groan deep and low. "Yo!" Then he slammed Isaac into the ground so hard, the dude legit screamed in pain. Isaac was coughing up blood, totally shook, like, how the heck did this weak guy just wreck him like that? Subaru was standing tall above him, throwing down a riddle like, "So, who you really looking at right now?" He pulled off his mask and asked if Isaac saw the bullet-blazing Subaru or the mysterious masked streamer Narukami Subaru. Then his eyes lit up real sharp, and he hit Isaac with a third option, the blue-eyed Narukami Subaru, the real deal. Isaac forced himself up, still hacking like crazy, determined not to get played by these mind games. Isaac claims Subaru just admitted he was the streamer. His energy flared back up as he mocked Subaru's thunder skill, saying it's nothing to brag about if someone like Subaru managed to learn it. Suddenly, fiery claws burst out from his hand as he sneered, "You really think you got a shot against me?" He was all cocky, bragging that if a weakling like Subaru had that legendary skill, then he must have already left the original Narukami Subaru in the dust. He charged forward, flames blazing, yelling like he owns the place, ready to prove his point. But nah, Subaru straight vanished and popped up in a flash of lightning. One smooth sword sliced through the air, and Isaac was totally clueless until he saw his own severed hand dropping down. Shock hit Isaac's face hard as Subaru stepped up, cold as ice, telling him his guess was dead wrong and was honestly surprised Isaac could spout such nonsense so far off from reality. A creeping fear crawled up Isaac's spine. He looked up at Subaru and finally realized something seriously off here. Subaru's earlier jab about Isaac's petty hate for Haas, and all the pain Subaru went through because of that childish beef hit him hard. Subaru pressed the blade against Isaac's neck and warned him with fiery intensity to never disrespect his crew again. Isaac's eyes popped wide with fear as his shaky voice spilled the brutal truth he could no longer hide. The guy standing in front of him was the legendary blue-eyed Narukami. Subaru cut him off cold as ice, saying, "Game's over." In one slick move, Subaru ended it. Isaac stumbled back, bleeding like crazy, and Subaru dropped the mic, telling him that's more than enough. "Thanks for lending him the body," Subaru said, then casually turned and bounced away from the fiery wreckage, leaving Isaac's broken ass behind. Now far away from that scorched forest, inside this chill little cafe, an employee eyeballed Subaru from across the room, super curious but low-key cautious. She quietly wondered, is he just some mega fan of Narukami Subaru? But then slapped herself for thinking it. She saw him streaming, deep in the zone, while Subaru was busy plotting his streamer game plan. He kept reminding himself that keeping his face hidden was a straight-up power move. Hatsuka rolled up, looking all shy and apologizing for being late. Her cheeks lit up red as she said she was the one Subaru had reached out to his manager, Hatsuka. Subaru shook her hand coolly and dropped his streamer name, Narukami Subaru, which made her almost lose it with excitement. She kept insisting, "No, the honor is totally mine." She stared at his masked face all wide-eyed, thinking, is this the real Subaru back from the dead, or just one hell of an imposter? Her brain was spinning until Subaru suddenly asked loud, "Everything good?" which scared her half to death. She remembered her boss nagging her nonstop, yelling about leaving a killer first impression and never acting all careless. Realizing she might have totally blown it already, she got stiff. Subaru then popped the question about whether she was a fan of the old-school Narukami Subaru. Hatsuka didn't even hesitate, shouting she was an uber-hardcore fan. Subaru tried to chill her out, saying he wasn't some real hero and gently teased that she looked way too young anyway. But then she dropped a bomb. She's also a fan of this Subaru. She got all hyped, explaining she had been riding or die for him since Zero viewers, watching his every move, beating the bat, smashing Greg's trial, and choosing the lightning path, all moments she could replay in her head perfectly. Subaru was shook. She remembered moments even he'd kind of forgotten. He smiled under that mask, totally impressed she'd been around from the start. With eyes shining bright, Hatsuka pumped a fist and said, "This was fate. That's why I ran to the company and begged them to put me on as your manager." Getting serious again, she pulled out the contract she prepped, breaking down what it said. Their squad would handle all the ads and clip edits to boost the Narukami brand. Subaru asked what they wanted from him in return. She said simply, "Just keep streaming like you are. That's already pure gold." Subaru wondered aloud if this streaming gig was really this easy. Hatsuka told him, "Nah, he's special. He's the first to rock that lightning skill, and everyone at their student office, even her department head, is watching him like a hawk." While he skimmed the contract, Subaru asked her what she thought about the deal. Hatsuka panicked, thinking he was low-key doubting her skills. She stammered that everyone else was way more dependable and pro than her, but Subaru quickly cleared the air. He didn't mean it like that. He scanned the subtle vibe around her, wondering if having such a high-level skill as a biz manager was standard or nah. Meanwhile, Hatsuka was internally melting down, convinced she had messed everything up bad. Yo, Subaru totally caught that vibe. As he got more clout, the enemies coming his way just got nastier. No chill time for this dude. He had to keep that lead strong. Hatsuka was sitting there all tense, cheeks flaming, trying to keep it professional but inside, total freakout central. What if Subaru said no to the deal? Her brain was racing like crazy, and she was low-key thinking maybe she'd have to strong-arm him into signing. Right then, Subaru just pops up next to her and offers his hand for a handshake. She jumped up, all shocked, letting out this panicked, stuttering squeal like a total sitcom moment. All her keep-it-cool vibes gone in a second. Subaru sat down across from her super chill and politely asked if she'd look out for him on their upcoming projects. She just stared at his hand and the quiet glow in his eyes behind that mask. Instead of playing it cool like a pro, she grabbed his hand with both of hers and just straight up lost it, tears flying everywhere. She shouted that she should be the one asking him to take care of her. Fast forward to later that day, Subaru fired up his stream. The system pop-up lit up, broadcasting started, and boom. Viewer count shot up to 703, just like that. Chat blew up with messages, all hyped, greeting Narukami and throwing questions about the mask. Subaru instantly clocked that crazy spike and knew it was Hatsuka's hype and early ads that pulled that crowd. Without missing a beat, he grabbed his phone, seriously announced the kickoff of Stage 6, named The Legend Asterisk. Cut to a wild, stormy night deep in the woods, rain hammering tents, piles of weapons laying around muddy paths. Inside the command tent, armored knights huddled around a map while thunder roared outside. Commander Pellis snapped, asking where their legendary savior was. One knight threw some shade, saying how could they trust a dude who wasn't even a knight? Even harder to buy that some random outsider just smoked the giant boss solo. He went on, speculating that unless Pellis saw the fight with his own eyes, that monster Subaru killed might have been some fake leader. Pellis's face got dark real quick, and he slammed his squad for disrespecting the very dude who saved their skins. Just then, the tent flap flew open. Subaru walked in with Pellis's aide, who was grinning, announcing the savior was awake. Pellis bounced over, thanking Subaru and saying thanks to him, he could now walk without help. But the other knights? They were side-eyeing Subaru hardcore, whispering behind his back that dude didn't look all that tough, and the mask just made him seem sketchier. Subaru caught their shady looks and called them out cold, saying it was clear they either couldn't believe he killed that monster or just straight up refused to accept the truth. He remembered how Hatsuka tweaked his mic settings so only his audience could catch his voice, a clutch move when dealing with annoying talks. Still, even with that edge, the knights got under his skin, so he fired back, calling them out for their zero respect for the guy who literally saved their whole crew. The chat burst into laughter and throwing shade at the knights, telling Subaru not to put up with their ego. Then this older knight, Dale, stepped forward, gray beard, real regal vibes. He stuck out his hand, thanked Subaru with some serious weight, but Subaru felt some heavy pressure lurking under that handshake. Dale talked heavy, saying even though they tried to protect the village, it got totally wrecked. Subaru blinked at the word wrecked. Dale looked grim, saying it was done by that same guy. Subaru locked eyes with him, asked straight up if someone even scarier than the giant leader he crushed was out there. Dale just said calmly, yeah. Then Dale spun this old legend about real giants, the ones who battled gods ages ago, sealed away tight. The giants roaming now? Just faded echoes, shadows of what once were. But the new big boss that popped up after Subaru's win, dude's power, was way closer to those legendary giants. Dale admitted, scared stiff. He never thought any of those beasts still hung around. The chat went wild, people panicking, asking if that power was like on the 8th floor or something, and how could anyone even fight that? Subaru stood firm, saying the only move was to take down that creature, no matter what. Dale shot a tight, sarcastic grin at that overconfidence. Another knight jumped in harsh, saying yeah, they had to ask for help, but what they wanted Subaru to do? Straight up impossible. He said no one who hadn't seen that monster firsthand would ever get how bad it was. Then Pellis cut in loud and clear with some legend talk. Pellis told them about an ancient tale tied to Millennium Mountain, where at the top, a piece of lightning was hidden, some crazy powerful thing strong enough to battle giants. He said Subaru's the only one who could find it. Flashback to burning houses, screams all around, fires chowing down everything, and standing tall in the chaos, a giant with long hair, looking seriously epic. Yo, this dude was straight up radiating some next-level scary vibes as he called out to this guy named Vidal. Knights were trying hard to stop him, but nah, he just grabbed one like it was nothing and crushed him like a soda can in his hand. In this icy tone, he promised he'd send his son Vidal off to chill in a river of human blood. Meanwhile, high up above the chaos, Subaru's golden eye was shining bright, watching all this madness go down from way off. The live chat blew up with people losing their minds. Like, is that monster seriously a giant? How the heck is something like that even real? Meanwhile, Subaru's spurting his horse forward through this wild storm, hooves splashing mud everywhere, lightning zigzagging across the sky like some freaking light show. The cold wind was slapping him in the face, making it crystal clear this stage, it's not some simple test, it's straight up deadly. Pellis's words rang loud in Subaru's head, telling him that the giants were dropping in 3 days, and if he couldn't find the lightning by then, he better haul ass out of there, no questions. But no way Subaru was bailing. He leaned in tight to his horse's neck, pushing hard through the forest, reminding himself that snagging that lightning was non-negotiable. That lightning was the golden ticket, his only shot to stand tall against those giants and probably the sole reason he got thrown into this nightmare trial in the first place. Suddenly, this system window pops up. Want to retry the stage? Subaru's like, nah, I'm good. With mad confidence, he says straight up there's no test in this entire tower he can't crush. Only he realizes way too late that the line he dropped was old Subaru Narukami's iconic catchphrase. The viewer comments started roasting him instantly for repeating a Legends classic. Requests exploded in chat, with Safe Origin throwing him 3,000 credits on the spot. Subaru breathed a tiny sigh, relieved he hadn't blown his cover too bad. At least, not yet. He wrapped his hands tighter on the reins and kept trucking, leading his horse up the rocky trails until they hit the foot of the massive Millennium Mountain. After hopping off, he pressed his hand to the frozen rock, feeling that rough texture, confirming deep down that the lightning shard was definitely locked inside this giant beast of a mountain. His mind drifted back to that chat with Pellis. The knight spilled that this legend was ancient as heck. Nobody really knew if the lightning shard was some kind of power, a thing, or even a living entity. Subaru had asked how the heck anyone was supposed to find it, only to get some frustrating answer: the mountain's location plus this handed-down story were their only clues. But one thing Pellis swore by: whoever held that lightning last wiped out the giants of old-school times. Switch scene to Hadatsuka's place, where she legit exploded in happy vibes as soon as her contract got sealed. She was dancing like crazy around her apartment while her boss was chuckling on the phone, telling her she was finally acting like the boss manager she was meant to be. She paused, like, wait, does that actually mean a compliment? Her boss reassured her, then tried to chat about this upcoming meeting with Hawkeye, but she straight up hung up, too hyped to sit still. Hadatsuka crashed on her bed, deciding her prize was a chill moment watching Subaru's stream after her crazy day. Her eyes were sparkling, staring down at her phone, saying that seeing him live on screen and knowing she met him for real hit a kind of joy only true fans get. Right then, on screen, Subaru pops up repeating that line: there's no test in the tower he can't ace. Hadatsuka suddenly froze. Her smile totally dropped as the truth hit her hard. That phrase, not just words, it was tattooed deep in players' minds for over 2 decades. A wave of doubt washed over her like a cold fog, wondering why those exact words slipped out so naturally. Back at the mountain, Subaru slammed his fist into the rock wall. Chat blew up with people yelling, bro, you lost it or what? Or just desperate. But Subaru kept hitting that wall, mixing sweat with rain, challenging the mountain like, come on, which of us has more guts? He grit his teeth, mentally ready if he had to bust rock with his bare hands, he'd throw down till the very end. Boom, rock bits flew as Subaru's punches glowed with raw energy. Sparks danced around his knuckles, and with one last epic hit, the stone cracked wide open, bursting apart like fireworks as debris rained down. Subaru flashed a low-key grin and said to himself, finally, the way in. The stream chat exploded, shocked by his brute force move, but Subaru just stayed quiet. He knew the stream couldn't even send the power he felt in his hands, and honestly, no one ever said brute strength wasn't the way to go. He stood there under the storm, feeling this massive thunder calling him right from inside the mountain, like that hidden lightning was reaching out to the lightning sleeping inside him too. Clearing away the debris revealed a huge metal gate with ancient patterns and runes. Everything screamed that the power he was hunting was just behind that beast of a door. Guys in chat were asking how he planned to open such a massive gate with no key, but Subaru's decision was instant: he was about to make it happen. Yo, he was about to break it down. He hit Wedge of Greed at level 3, feeling that wild rebound from the cursed sword as lightning started popping off in his fist. Black and gold electric sparks flared up around his knuckles, and Subaru got that vibe: this trial's no joke, it's way beyond that door. The lightning was calling out like never before, straight up demanding an answer. So, dude gave it to him. Sucked all that energy into his arm, took a sharp breath, and slammed a beast of a punch right into the gate, telling that lightning, "Yeah, I'm here for you." Boom! A golden explosion lit up the scene. The mountain shook hard as the gate cracked open slow, revealing this mega deep, dark tunnel reaching straight into the heart of the mountain. Subaru stepped up like a total boss, no hesitation, while the chat went wild, buzzing over how this guy just keeps getting stronger every single minute. Then bam! A system alert popped up, letting him know he was officially on the path where lightning walks, and hey, no bailing until he finishes this stage. Meanwhile, back at the night camp, tension was thick around the strategy table. One knight was like, does Subaru even stand a chance at touching the lightning? Pellis, chill as ever with his drink in hand, told him Subaru's shown mad strength already and doubting him now was just pointless. But the vibe was heavy. Suddenly, one knight slammed his fists on the table, face all freaked out, yelling, "Who cares if Subaru makes it or not? We're all toast anyway." His voice shook as he remembered that massive monster dude he'd seen squashing people like bugs back in the village. He swore no human could take down that beast. Pellis tried to calm him, saying quitting before the fight even starts is basically signing your own death note. He begged the knights to give Subaru one shot since the dude's putting it all on the line for them, even if he doesn't owe them a single thing. But that scared knight just stared wide-eyed, bloodshot with a busted lip from biting hard, whispering, "Man, Pellis talks way too easy, like he ain't stood right under that monster's shadow." Before Pellis could clap back, the ground shook like crazy. A cup flew off the table, shattering everywhere, and the tent went dead silent. Then a soldier burst in, screaming, "Disaster's here." The beast had landed. Pellis and the squad just froze, words stuck as reality hit hard. Meanwhile, deep inside the mountain, Subaru kept moving through this empty stone hallway, wondering what the heck this test was really about. Chat was spitting out comments about how weird this place was. No monsters, no traps, not a single roadblock in sight. But Subaru's golden eye got sharp. Lightning's too quick to spot. Before it zaps, it's just these invisible charges dancing in the air. A lightning-based test wouldn't waste time with silly visible stuff. Makes total sense that nothing noticeable was in his way. He shut his eyes and finally got it. The path where lightning walks ain't about seeing, it's about sensing the energy flow. He felt the deep, sleepy power ahead, pulling him like an electric current. Then bam! He squatted, grabbed a rock, and flung it down the tunnel. The chat blew up like, "Yo, what's he doing?" But Subaru was like, "Trust me, the stream can't pick this up." The rock started breaking apart midair, way before hitting the floor, crumbling under the invisible electric charge flooding the cave. The crowd could only hear this crazy tearing noise in the dark, and their comments were all confused, trying to figure out what kind of trial throws lightning you can hear but not see. Subaru finally pieced together, this brutal trial's real deal. Even knowing how rough it was, he muttered, "This stage designer's got terrible taste." Without missing a beat, he tore into a run, figuring out this wasn't some tricky puzzle but a savage endurance test. The rule was crystal clear: survive or straight up die. Lightning bolts whipped through the air as Subaru pushed forward. Meanwhile, a hype donation popped up on the stream. One viewer threw in 100 credits just to clown Subaru, asking, "Bruh, what you so scared for?" More donations flooded in as the storm amped up. Someone dropped 1,000 credits. Another warned his lightning skills might poof if he wiped out, and then a third threw in 2,000 credits hyping him up. Even with the air crackling and his skin burning, Subaru kept thanking every single fan, eyes blazing with fierce focus as he ran through that invisible lightning storm. Meanwhile, miles away in a cozy wooden cabin warmed by a bubbling pot, Shigeru was chillin' on the couch, trying to catch some chill time. Suddenly, Rina barged in, making him jump up and hide his device real quick. She gave him that sly smirk, acting like she knew he was cooking up something shady. Shigeru stuttered, swearing there was nothing going on, just tired eyes. She wasn't buying it for a second. Sitting down next to him, she joked all dramatic like that weird habits make your hair grow faster, pushing Shigeru to yell, "Cut it out with the weird stuff." Rina just ripped a piece of bread and dropped her truth bomb. She'd stopped binging the stream because he told her to, but yeah, she still sneak peeks now and then. When Shigeru nervously asked what she really wanted, she spun around and threw out a question like, "Yo, am I killing your vibe or what?" Before he could even cook up a reply, Subaru's voice blasted way too loud from that sneaky gadget he tried to keep on the down low, shouting that he's ready to tough it out and give it his all. Shigeru popped up like he saw a ghost, yelling at her to zip it right then and there. Rina plugged her ears, whining that his yelling nearly blew out her eardrums, while Shigeru scrambled to slap his device into silent mode. She eyeballed him totally crooked, calling him a total weirdo for acting all sus, before suddenly bouncing up. When she threw out that this whole drama was just straight up annoying and tried to dip, Shigeru nearly lunged after her, begging her to stay put. Dude offered her extra bread, told her to chillax, kick back anything to kill the vibes so no one would peep that secret stream he was hiding. But nah. Rina slammed the door shut behind her, and Shiger just flopped back on the couch, letting out this shaky breath like, phew, that was close. Mumbling about nearly getting called out. He grabbed that tablet again, showing Subaru's live stream still blasting away, whispering that if Rina ever caught him watching this mess, he'd never hear the end of it no cap. Couldn't even imagine the chaos that would cause. Shiger stared at the screen, Subaru talking up the crazy hard test he had to survive, and a little smile crept up. This streamer sounded just like the OG Subaru back in the day. Only weird flex old Subaru never cared this much about grinding for credits. Shigar chuckled low-key, but then bam, a cold hand grabbed his shoulder. He spun around slow as heck, heart sinking, and bam, there was Rina, rocking this freaky smile like straight out a horror flick. She whispered, "You really thought I didn't catch that?" Her face flipped into straight-up demon mode, telling him trying to play her like that was 1,000 years too early. Deep inside Millennium Mountain, the system threw Subaru a new challenge, carve the path of lightning. Sweat dripping down, standing solo in the middle of the storm. Lightning bolts slammed him over and over, swirling around like angry vipers while the progress bar crawled at a snail's pace, barely hitting 2.3%. He lifted his hand, already lit with compressed lightning power, feeling this weird nostalgic vibe in his chest. Knew that feeling well had danced with lightning through mad battles in his past life. But this time, way different. Every step forward made the air heavier, pain sharper, and the electric storms even wilder. His vision flickered behind the mask as that bar crept to 3.22%, mocking him hard, reminding him this test was no joke. Meanwhile, chat blew up with viewers yelling at him to run, begging him to speed up, and straight up asking why he was strolling into pain like it was his thing. Subaru ignored all the noise. Covered in cuts and burns, nerves screaming, he just accepted it. Reading the chat was officially impossible now. He pushed his arm out into the electric chaos, telling himself that just finishing this was the bare minimum he could do. His real goal, way beyond just beating the stage. If lightning demanded the world, he planned to snatch back something even bigger. Far away, in some slick office dripping with luxury, Hawkeye leaned in close to his screens. Monitors showed Subaru's stream from all angles, and he flashed back to chatting with President John about teaming up with this hot new player. Remembered how wild it was to have John personally overseeing things. Dude hardly did that anymore. John dropped his classic wisdom. In streaming, hustle is only half the game. Clout and rep make up the other half. Hawkeye jumped in proud, saying a player's backstory, era, names, and powers around them decide who's truly fire. John nodded but pointed out Subaru's streams were no beginner stuff. They looked more like war diaries from a seasoned pro. The boss said Subaru didn't need fancy edits or flashy personas, just Hawkeye's solid breakdowns like always. He hinted this newbie might be the real deal, telling Hawkeye to seize the moment like catching a shooting star before it vanished. Hawkeye's eyes sparkled with ambition, remembering his own times doubting himself, not cause he lacked skill, but cause he wondered if he could ever roll with the geniuses climbing the tower. He used to stare at the night sky wanting to be one of those shining legends, wondering if he'd ever make the Hall of Fame. Back to now, Hawkeye suddenly let out a shocked scream, almost tipping over his chair. Sweat dripping as he stared, not ready to believe the madness Subaru was pulling. Inside that cave, Subaru's scream echoed loud as lightning slammed him hard. The whole place roared like a beast, turning his path into a wild torture show of light and noise. Blood dripped from his arms while those shocks kept pounding him from every side. This is wild, fam. Smash that like if you're shook, drop a comment on what you think Subaru's gonna pull next, and don't forget to share this crazy adventure with your squad. Catch you all soon from the heart of Houston, Texas. Yo. Subaru planted his feet hard on the ground, using every ounce of strength to keep himself from folding or dropping. He pushed on, one painful step after another. Finally, he caught the whole point of this crazy trial. The stronger the lightning got, the deeper it cut into him. That was the whole plan, exactly what he needed to push through. Lightning was crackling all around him, wrapping him up in a giant electric vibe. Subaru just knew this epic power surge had hit the sweet spot. Tiny sparks of energy started popping up under his skin, like neon lines glowing all over his body. A system alert popped up explaining how the tiniest meridian routes, those micropathways all over his body including the Ren and Du channels, were filling up with lightning. When that energy hit his heart, it lit up like an actual blazing core. The progress bar shot up from its slow crawl to a sharp 20.7%, and a body diagram unfolded right in front of him. The system let him know micromeridian activation was officially underway. Lightning visibly settled solidly inside him, getting stronger and steadier, with a chill message popping up that his magic had leveled up by +1. Subaru clenched his lightning-soaked fist tight, promising himself, no matter how savage the cost, he'd own this power completely. He kept reminding himself about how his body was wired the Ren and Du channels as the main energy highways, and the micromeridians branching out like tiny electric veins everywhere. Shuffling forward through the wild storm, he felt lightning surging through places energy had never even dared to touch before. He finally realized how Subaru's old body had never gone through a real proper cleansing. This time, he wasn't taking the usual slow and steady route with his own mana, he was forcing it with raw lightning energy. A brutal shortcut that slapped a new negative status right on his system screen. Electric shock. Still, he kept moving, even as waves of electric pain tore through him. His muscles shook like crazy, and blood splattered all over the cold stone floor. But stubborn as a mule, he refused to crash. He knew natural mana purification would hurt, but this was a whole different beast, like lightning claws, ripping impurities apart inside him, carving open new paths with brutal force, every second feeling like needles stabbing bone deep. Across the city, deep in her dark room, Hatsuka was frozen, watching the stream. She was gripping her phone so tight her knuckles turned white. When she finally caught what Subaru was doing, her breath hitched in total disbelief. He was literally forcing his micromeridians open in this insane environment, and doing it on the move. She knew enough to realize just how crazy and reckless that was. For most folks, this kind of torture would knock them out cold again and again. Even though it wasn't real, the pain hit the brain like a full-on punch. Pain the nerves couldn't tell apart from the real deal. She put a hand to her forehead, torn between fear and confusion, trying to figure out what kind of madness drove him to choose this self-destructive path. Back in the cave, the system popped up again, saying over half his micromeridians were now activated. Subaru's lightning-charged foot dragged forward, every step draining the last bits of strength he had. The pain got sharper, gnawing at his edges of consciousness until the world around him started spinning and warping. His mind started slipping away. He muttered to himself, blaming everything bad on him, saying he was the one who got everyone killed. The blurry cave scene flipped to a snowy blizzard memory. There he was, standing tall with his crew, flashing a confident grin, saying no test could ever break him. He saw every single one of them clearly. Shuhei, Soya, Kei, Yori, and even Shigar and Rina, all smiling behind him with complete trust. They believed him when he told them to chill and promised victory was a done deal since he was leading the charge. That warm memory twisted into pain. Reality shattered it like broken glass. If he hadn't been so cocky back then, if he hadn't pushed them too hard with his overconfidence, none of them would have died that day. The guilt stabbed deep enough to nearly knock the air out of him. Suddenly, Kazuki popped up in the hallucination. Face bloodied, but wearing a nasty grin. Throwing savage shade, Kazuki mocked him, saying their fail was a given, because they were too proud and blindly confident. Subaru's heart practically broke under that burn. Lightning went wild around him as he yelled out, voice shaking with regret, owning up that it was all his responsibility. Finally, his legs gave out. He crashed to the floor, lightning crackling hard over his body, reaching out with a shaking hand into the empty air. His mind dragged him deeper into those dark regrets as electric pain raged through every inch. Then, bam, everything flipped in a flash. The suffocating cave darkness vanished, swapped for a peaceful green meadow drenched in warm sunshine. Yo, Subaru just blinked all confused, like, wait, how the heck did I jump from that crazy storm to this chill, peaceful vibe? A soft breeze teased his hair, and when he glanced out to the horizon, he spotted a squad chilling under a huge shade tree. His heart skipped. There were Shuhei, Soya, Kei, Yori, Sugar, and Reina, all casually vibing like nothing ever went sideways. Subaru's chest swelled with hope and feels. He bolted toward the crew, hoping maybe, just maybe, all the deaths and nightmares were just a bad trip. When he got there, tears threatened to pop out, and his smile was so bright it almost stung. He reached out with a shaky hand to a friend's shoulder, whispering, guys, that mess was a nasty nightmare. Nothing real, listen to me. Then someone called out, Subaru, but when he spun around, their faces twisted ugly. Those warm smiles turned into creepy grimaces full of hate and pain. Their voices rose, blasting him with blame for dragging them into doom. One voice cracked mad with rage, screaming they never wanted to die. Subaru stumbled back, softly calling their names as fear crawled up his spine. Out stepped Shino, looking like she crawled right out of death itself. She locked eyes with him, all bitter and salty, reminding him of every big promise he made before things went south. She grilled him on why he didn't have their backs. Subaru's lips trembled as he whispered her name, and when he saw her one eye swollen with pain, that peaceful meadow flipped into full-on nightmare mode. Bodies and shredded spirits screamed and cried all around. Flames swallowed the scene, their voices begging Subaru to save them, to not let them die. His brain broke under their grief and blame. He screamed, reaching out for their fading shadows, begging, don't leave me, come back. His cries bounced off a void that straight didn't care. He dropped to his knees, crushed and drowning in guilt. Then boom, the hallucination shattered. Subaru snapped back to the electrified cave, coughing up blood, gasping for air. The storm was still raging hard. His whole body shook, and only now did he get how close he was to losing his damn mind. Right in front of him, the system window blinked, saying the micromeridian cleanse was at 97.87%, and that lightning was fully settled inside, boosting his magic once again. He grit his teeth, throwing a silent who made this freaky trial. Curse. Slowly, he pushed himself up as electric currents lit him up in glowing gold. Despite all the madness, he let out a bitter laugh, kinda thanking that twisted hallucination for reminding him why he ain't ready to die yet. Sparks of yellow danced along his arms. In that flickering light, he briefly caught Kazuki's ghost, smirking at him totally felt like a real figment. Meanwhile, chaos was tearing up the village far away. Giants and monsters crashed the arena, smashing buildings and sending villagers sprinting like crazy while the knights fought tooth and nail to hold the line. A giant beast, bigger than life with bulging muscles, stepped forward like a walking disaster. Even the toughest knights shook, not believing this monster was the real boss. Fear soaked through them, and rumors spread that the masked warrior probably ditched them and ran off. Amidst the gloom, one shaky knight whispered to his buddy that their hero gotta come back. He had to show up. They clung hard to that tiny spark of hope. But Pellis, dude exploded in rage, yelling at his team for doubting their village's supposed savior, even though they didn't know the dude's name. Pellis's eyes burned with pure disappointment, barking that their attitudes were trash, asking how they even called themselves knights. Then Dale stepped up. Cool and composed, he put a firm hand on Pellis's shoulder, his voice steady with conviction, reminding everyone to think about their own oath before throwing shade on others. Their mission was clear: protect this land. With calm focus, he drew his sword, blue energy glowing along the blade, declaring knights don't get protected. Knights protect others. Without missing a beat, Dale charged forward, sword high, roaring for his men to meet death like legit knights, if that was the hand fate dealt today. His battle cry sliced through the panic, and the troops rallied, their armor clanging as they stormed the battlefield with fierce spirit. Meanwhile, inside the mountain, Subaru's world was pure white-hot light in agony. The progress bar flickered at 99%, and the yellow lightning wrapping him thickened, almost solid. Just ahead, a tiny glowing orb floated like a mini-sun. Even without knowing what it was, Subaru just knew this was the finish line. His exhaustion hit 97%, vision blurry, blood leaking behind his mask, but he forced his legs to move. One more step, that was all he needed, ignoring the flashing red warnings on the system screaming, "Keep moving and you're dead." Subaru pushed off with one last reckless jump toward the glowing orb. Far away, an armored boot slammed hard into the ground. Dale made it right up to the giant. Even though the dude's getting on in years, he was dodging those massive swings like a boss and swooping in with crazy sharp moves. With his blade lighting up in blue, he slashed through the giant's skin, making it roar like crazy. But nah, Dale wasn't gonna chill. He kept hacking away with mad skills nonstop. Then Pellis caught the vibe and yelled, "I got this, man." He charged full speed, jumped high, and raised his sword like he was about to drop the hottest mixtape. Sparks flew as he hammered down a storm of strikes on the giant's weak spots. The beast let out one final, earth-shaking roar before collapsing like a sack of bricks. Blood splattered everywhere on that busted-up battlefield. The squad went wild, screaming Pellis's name and hyping Dale too. Some folks even rushed over to hack the fallen beast's body, trying to shake off all that dark energy it had been hoarding. At last, they felt like the nightmare was finally donezo. Pellis took a deep breath, staring at the giant's corpse, thinking they'd actually made it out safe, but then Dale dropped some cold, hard truth, slicing through the vibe. Man was straight up terrified, his face all twisted. Pellis turned to him like, "Wait, what?" And Dale doubled down, saying no way, that giant wasn't the real target. Meanwhile, the crew behind them was cracking up, partying like it was over, talking big about taking down the tiny giants left. Then bam! Out of nowhere, this massive giant's hand smacked down from the sky. Dude on the ground, the party. Everything got crushed in a hot second. Blood flew everywhere, and the earth busted open right where that hand landed. Pellis and Dale just froze, totally stunned. Only when Dale finally broke the silence did everyone get it. Shaking, Dale looked up at the mega shadow looming over them and said, "Yo, that's the real giant." Pellis's voice cracked as he screamed to the squad, warning them that this beast's power was on a whole other level, nothing like they'd ever faced. Meanwhile, way over in the lightning zone, Subaru was stretching every last ounce of human strength. That progress bar was shaking at 99.99%, like seriously, almost there. He stuck his hand into the raging golden storm and grabbed the energy orb tight. Lightning coursed through his bones, and his eyes burned with pure rage. He swore that anyone who crossed him would be saying sorry in hell later. Then, ding, the system hit 100% complete. The golden energy exploded, lighting up the whole chamber so bright it blinded everyone. Subaru groaned from pure exhaustion, mumbling that finally, it was all done. Then boom, a flood of system messages popped up. Micro-Meridian cleanse finished, magic got a boost, skills activate faster, and every core stat shot up by 2. Subaru crushed those messages with a scowl while gasping for air, grumbling that one more overload like that and he'd have been toast. Pissed that the system waited till the last sec to spill the tea. Legs gave out, and Subaru flat on his back on the cracked ground, totally drained. Meanwhile, the final message echoed through the glow. 6th stage legend cleared like a boss. Over at Suiton Entertainment, the manager sat stiff as a board staring at the live stream, eyebrows locked in a frown. Subaru's health bar was crashing hard, and the manager muttered under his breath that the kid was pushing way past any normal limit. With a heavy sigh and a cheeky finger tap on the desk, he admitted Subaru probably wasn't cut out for streaming life. Right then, his phone blew up. On the line, Hawkeye was all hyped up and out of breath, asking if the manager peeped Narukami's stream because it was straight up insane. The manager was like, "Slow down, dude, what's got you so fired up?" But Hawkeye was like, "Trust me, a real star is rising." Leaning back chill, he broke it down. Subaru wasn't just going to crush it as a streamer, he was going to explode as a player too. Hawkeye even spilled the tea that original Narukami Subaru was always more warrior than content creator, and folks were vibing hard with this version, the one who's not a copy but a straight-up successor carrying the legend's torch. The manager was shook as Hawkeye raved about witnessing something wild, the birth of a new Narukami Subaru, crafted live right before the whole tower's eyes. Back on the stream, Subaru finally pushed himself up, all battle-worn. The chat blew up with messages. "Oh my god, he lived. Did you see that recovery?" Subaru rubbed his sore head, cursing the crazy tired feeling burning through his limbs. Checked his status window, his fatigue was down to 81%, and he exhaled relief, because the higher his stats got, the faster he bounced back. Even that last savage hit didn't wreck the run. Mission completion pops up, adding streaming cash from viewers up to a sweet total of 20,420 credits. He nodded, thinking, not bad, not bad, until he checked the skill shop and saw the next upgrade for Wedge of Greed needed 40,000 credits. Yeah, he was nowhere near half of that yet. But yo, if he manages to take down that beast lurking outside, that kind of cash might just be in reach. Subaru flipped his gaze to the golden orb chillin' in his palm. Yeah, this was the weapon he earned, no cap. Peeping at it, the ID popped up clear as day. The lightning spear, a straight-up legendary relic, forged from some OG Thunderbolt. This thing packs a punch so deadly it disappears after one hit. Subaru was shook, staring like, wait, what? Totally wild that something this rare would come his way at this level. It didn't even look like a spear right now, but he knew top-tier gear switches up forms depending on the vibe. The chat's blowing up, folks asking how he's got all this loot knowledge. Subaru just ignored the noise, gripped that glowing orb tighter, and made up his mind to bounce toward the exit, saying loud and clear, "Time to squash this threat outside." Out past the mountain, Pellis was about to lose it, dripping sweat and staring skyward like he just saw a ghost in New York City's Central Park or something. Then boom, this massive shadow swallowed the whole battlefield. One giant eyeball squinted down like the ultimate boss, sending Dale into a gasp fit. The monster lifted its head, and the system threw out its real name. Giant King Greg, the thunder-eating seed. This hulking nightmare with a demon face roared so hard the ground shook. One warrior straight lost his marbles, laughing like a maniac as he dipped from the squad. Pellis yelled after him, dumbfounded by the meltdown. That dude spun around, tears streaking down his cheeks, yelling, "Y'all don't even know what we're up against." The guy ran headfirst at the giant, dropped to his knees, and bowed his head to the dirt, begging for mercy. The giant threw him a cold glare. When the warrior called him God, the giant's face twisted mad ugly with rage. The beast growled, straight up disgusted like, "You compare me to those weaklings? Get out of here." Dale dashed forward, snatched the trembling dude by the shoulders, yelling, "Snap out of it, man." He yanked him back and screamed at the rest to run, but his words caught in his throat as Pella screamed Dale's name. Then the giant's huge hands slammed down right where Dale stood. The earth cracked wide open, dust flying everywhere. Pella just froze up, finally facing the brutal truth. No win here, y'all. And now, clear as day, no escape either. Giants totally surrounded the village, making a mega death ring. Pellis, pushed to his breaking point by fear, totally lost it. He yelled up at the towering King Greg, claiming he knew who wiped out the giant's son, ready to spill anything a straight-up lie if it bought even a breath more time. King Greg stopped mid-step, lowered his massive head toward Pellis, voice shaking with menace, demanding the name of the killer. Pellis shook, sword raised, pointed somewhere far off and spat out a fib. Said the human who killed the giant's kid ran that way to gear up for round 2. Inside, he prayed hard the giant would bite the bait and leave. But nah, King Greg closed in, his face flipping into pure nightmare mode. Lying, he growled deep. His glowing eyes drilled straight into Pellis's soul, peeling truth from lies like a boss. Leaned in cold, asking if the real killer wasn't right there chilling. Pellis's knees nearly buckled under the intense heat as the giant grilled him hard, asking if he just pointed his weak blade randomly on some dumb hope, before he could spit out another shaky excuse. Lightning exploded right behind him on the mountaintop. Giants and Pellis both whipped their heads up. A golden bolt slammed the peaks so hard the ground trembled underfoot. Pellis's face went ghost white. Whispered with a mix of awe and desperation toward the sky, "Please, a savior. Still gotta be out there." Up high on that cliff, overlooking the wild scene, a cold system notification flashed. 7th stage lightning start, baby. Subaru stood on the edge, staring down the chaos beneath him. Quietly told himself this was the last wall he had to smash through. Chat went bonkers, seeing the giant beast, yelling, "Dude, no way, this is still a 2nd floor test. Just run." But Subaru already knew better. Running wasn't even in the playbook. The only way forward, right through that giant, clenched the glowing orb tight, knowing a straight fight was suicidal against this massive freak. Only had one shot, one clean strike before the monster could react. Raised his arm, triggered the lightning spear. Sparks flickered wildly as a golden beam shot up, splitting the gray skies like a boss. Energy built up, slow but fierce. At just 10% power, Subaru's fatigue shot up to 84%, muscles trembling like they were about to snap. Even with his Wedge of Greed at level 3 soaking some blowback, the system kept throwing errors as the power climbed. At 33%, pressure doubled, fatigue hit 88% and rising. Blood dripped from his palm and under the mask, teeth clenched tight as reality sunk. He was way out of his league trying to handle a relic this legit. Still, over halfway charged, turning back wasn't an option no more. The chat blew up with worried comments, calling this a non-stop nightmare ever since he grabbed that lightning. But Subaru straight up muted the chat and focused. Yo, all he could think about was just making it through the next few seconds. No joke, down below, the giant king peeped that crazy beacon lighting up the sky. Even the fans were cracking up, saying like, who'd have missed that glow up? Subaru was low-key nodding to himself after charging up with that much juice. Playing hide and seek was totally off the table. At like 78.5% lit up, the giant slowly spun around, eyes locked dead on with Subaru way up on that peak. He hissed out this venomous line. "You're the one who took my boy," face twisted with pure hate. Then, boom, Giant King started stomping towards them.